Welcome into the Chemistry Podcast, episode number 331,
yeah,
baby. Welcome into section 331.
Yoink, let's go. God.
A few things to get out of the way right off the bat.
True flow.
What?
I just show this real quick.
All right, let's go. Can you lift it? You need help? Can you lift it? Do you need help?
When I'm on the river this summer.
When Andy's getting harassed on the river, you mean?
Look at these bad boys, man. They make these coolers, and they make them
Show the top of it right quick. Look at these bad boys.
Look
And you know what?
Look at the top of it.
And you know what? All y'all out there, look at that bad ball. You can get anything designed.
Yeah, anything. So whatever your business is, man, you can put it on this
Shit
cooler.
kicking.
It's on the bottom of it, too.
And that puts me in a good mood just looking at
Look how
coolers.
sturdy this thing is. You know?
Yeah, nothing's beating that up. And you can fit a lot of stuff in there,
Yeah,
too.
you can.
But I bet puts me in a good mood because the weather here has been so bad. It's actually been. We talked about this because I predicted that it's going to be really, really cold and snowy. Finally, it's 50 degrees a day. It's going to be 60, 60, 60, 60. But I got to give a shout out.
I'm out of breath. My tennis elbow is just sparking.
No one
right
cares.
now.
I got to give a shout out to all the shit kickers up north. Okay, up north in Saskatchewan and fucking Alberta. All you guys. I say this all the time, but to be able to deal with the weather on a daily basis for months and months and months and months, when it's gray out, when the fucking snow stacked 10 feet and it's black. I respect you guys because you talk to people in the St. Louis, man, we're not used to that, and it puts you in a depressed
Let's
mode.
go. Okay, let's go.
Were you not depressed?
Are you grandstanding?
Are
right
you
now?
not
Are you
depressed? No.
I don't even know what
care.
he's talking about right now, this guy. First off, he has Canada on his side. This guy's
What
the
are we
biggest.
doing?
He's the biggest front runner.
Do you not go outside?
Last game he didn't want. Last show he didn't want it on his side. Now he wants it on his side.
I just want to say, you don't remember it's been cold as
Oh,
shit?
it's been really cold.
It's been terrible.
And now it's 60s.
The kids are getting off school. The kids get off school. It's cold. They get off school.
They're off.
You have kids. You don't realize this.
No,
What are you talking about?
I do know. Yeah, I do know.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's
Yeah.
been
Well, no, we
we're
appreciate you
pussies.
saying that.
We're pussies in St. Louis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now you like it?
That's what it is.
We're pussies here. Everybody's bitching and complaining, including myself. Thank God the sun's out today a little bit.
I love
damn.
the cold weather. I love the snow. I think it's peaceful. I like driving in the snow, actually.
You don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't, Andy. That's a lie.
Wednesday night, because I knew they weren't going to have school Thursday because they didn't have school Wednesday. And then they should have had school Wednesday. They didn't really do anything.
It's just a pain
But
in the
it
ass
started
here,
to snow Wednesday night, and there was a high school hockey game. And I knew some of the kids that are playing. My daughter wanted to go because it's the high school she'll go to who was playing.
Yeah.
They were playing against the Smet High School. I'll give them a shout out because their coach, Anthony Capoletti's is a friend of mine.
Oh, yeah. What's up, baby?
Wanted to go
Anthony?
see Cappy coach. And so
Great guy.
I took Ty up to the rink. Chloe was hanging out with her friends at the game. I love driving in the snow.
No, you don't. That's a stupid thing.
Everyone's telling me, be careful out there, be careful. You just drive slow.
Dude, it doesn't work that way.
No,
it's not about you.
That type of snow was
nothing.
like thick and is like sticking to your tires. Like I wasn't sliding at all.
Andy,
Yeah.
we had 2.5 inches that time.
Mm-hmm.
You like driving in the snow when there's 10 inches in St. Louis? It's absolute chaos. It's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
And it's not you. It's the guy in that stupid little Fiat that gets stuck on the roads and it puts
Corvette.
you in a jam. That's what happens in St. Louis. You know what I mean? So Andy's acting like he's virtue signaling again. I liked when you took Ty. I think that's really cool, especially Chloe, because she wants to show off to her friends and stuff. But don't act like you're some guy up in Alberta driving in the snow with chains on their tires. Get on with yourself.
You know, we used to have chains on our tires when I lived in Flagstaff, Arizona, up in the mountains, man, because it snowed so much. And they didn't use salt on the roads there. And a lot of times in the environmentally conscious towns, Cam, which I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of these towns, the environmentally conscious towns.
You mean the expensive ones? No, environmentally conscious, I get that, man.
They use cinder.
Just like we
they
talked about
don't
Mike
use
Richter.
salt. Salt is bad for your car. You know that? It'll make your car rust.
You're right. No, I get that part.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You know.
So cinder is kind of like what?
Don't know much about it. To be honest with you.
I mean, he didn't know Jennings. He didn't know Scott Jennings. He didn't know
That's my
Cinder. now he is.
No, he was.
No,
I just
'cause
you,
of me.
you just threw the
'Cause of
name
me.
out and you
'Cause of me.
You put me on the spot and I automatically got mad.
Yeah, you did. Here he comes.
And then I go, there he is. Oh, I know that guy.
Cinder, it's like a rock, you know, like almost like a charcoal, almost like a black rock.
Just melts
you know?
the ice in the snow.
And,
No, I get that.
And your tires can grip on it.
You know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just chaos down here when it's
Dude, I am tired today. Back-to-back games coming out of the break.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you have this break, and then it just kind of hits you right in the face. You got back-to-back games, so a couple late nights here the last couple of nights, and but I'm ready to get back at it today.
Yeah, baby.
Man.
I know. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. But there is a couple hockey things you want to get into off the bat.
Oh, right off the bat. You didn't want to talk about Steve Smith or anything like that?
Banging. Oh, Jesus, mother.
Dude, what is he?
Why are we blaming him? Why do we always have to go to the guy and be like, what's he doing? How about the girl? How about the wife?
Okay.
She's like, come in my mouth.
Oh, my God.
I like when you come in my vagina.
Oh, God. Is
like
that what the woman said to him?
She wants to get bred out by this cat. This poor guy's like reading these texts. My God.
About his wife.
Dude. Come in my vagina.
Pull them up.
I'm just saying. We don't need to go through it again.
No, because I want to make sure you're quoting them accurately.
What are you talking, Maddie?
I mean, by saying that, I want to make sure this is accurate.
Maddie, am I wrong on that? She said Percy. Oh, my God.
She said what?
Percy. I can't. Like, that's a nightmare.
Oh, God.
But you know what?
Move your newspaper, by the way.
Hey, no offense, though. Huh. If your wife's getting banged out that hardcore and they have that intimate of a relationship, it wasn't like a one-night stand. Like, you didn't know that? You don't.
Well, he found out, dude.
She didn't give you any sign that she's getting straight up smacked. If she's willing to do that and talk and text and not hide it, that's out in the open.
Out.
Meaning you should be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and your womb.
Okay, no, you're reading into it wrong. I think he was. I think he was aware, and that's why he investigated. That's why he went to her phone. That's why he found the text messages. He was suspicious, and he confirmed it when he went to her phone.
Okay. I also think, though, good
you know
point.
what I'm saying?
But that's not just a one-night stand where like, hey, good to see you. They're saying what I just said. I don't need to repeat it. Thank you. That is far down the line, homie.
Cam, there are people listening right now. There are people all over this world whose spouses are cheating on them, and they have no idea.
Who disagrees with that?
They have no idea.
I know.
They have no clue.
A lot of them are aloof, though. And those are the people I'm talking to. The guys that are aloof. Your girl gives you signals, man, all the time if she's doing something. Just like you would if you're doing something, too. You don't answer your phone all night and you're on the like, oh, what?
Did you hear the phone call when he called Steve Smith?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry. You think he really meant I'm sorry? Or he was...
No, he knows what he's
doing. Okay, but what's he going through right now?
Who cares about him?
No, I agree with that. I don't care about Steve Smith.
No.
Is
he married?
Yes, that's why I'm asking. What do you think?
Poor wife.
You think he's like, oh fuck?
Yeah,
like his life.
No, he's like, this is great. No, it's horrible.
Yeah,
and you know what? They deserve it.
Everywhere.
They deserve that.
He deserves it.
That's what you get.
So listen,
divorce your wife. Then.
As bad as she, well, he is. No. He's calling her out at the same time. It just so happens Steve Smith's a celebrity, so this is how it gets out there, and it becomes even more so embarrassing for her. So yeah, he's calling her out. And he's also calling out Steve Smith, so it's embarrassing all around.
What I said about
this guy works on national television.
Here's what I said about divorce your wife. If you're going to willing to cheat just like that and have a straight up relationship where you're literally text messaging each other, not on a burner phone, you're text messaging each other, rolling the dice. Could you imagine doing like your phone pops? Are you out of your mind? Meaning, so if you're willing to do that and you're in a relationship with a wife who loves you, who knows how that is? Maybe she's doing it, but I'm assuming probably not. Divorce her and then go out and do your thing. Now look what you've done. Like if you're using your wife and now you're straight up having not just you went to Vegas and you fucked up. You're having a straight up relationship with another married woman. You got to do the right thing and divorce your wife if you're going to do that stuff. Now you're fucked.
I don't understand what you mean.
If you don't like your wife because you're cheating on her, divorce her.
Oh, for Steve Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Before you have another relationship.
Okay, well, so it is. You are putting some of the blame on him, too.
Of course I am.
Okay, because if you see his family photo, they just took Christmas photos. They're beautiful photos.
Of course. Oh, yeah. Those are still on the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure they're framed inside the house. But, he's got older kids.
Yeah.
And one looks like he could probably throw down a little bit. Although Steve Smith was pretty
I don't know
vicious,
much about him.
Oh, dude, he was a great wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers.
Great guy.
Great guy. And then the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
But, dude, he would I think he beat up a teammate one time in training camp maybe or something.
We've all fought.
No, but he was he's a little...
Craig.
He's a little...
He's got that dick.
He's a feisty one. He may be from Compton.
Well, he knows how to make love because that woman loved it. Whoever he's banging out, she was like, dang. He's probably got a monster hog on him, too.
He may be from You think?
Well, let me put two. Yeah, probably. An ass big. Do I need to say it?
Let me see. I think he's from Compton. I know a number of people that come from that
It's
area.
all good, man. It ain't that.
Compton's and he was kind of like the underdog coming out of college. Listen, he always had a great story. I always liked Steve Smith. Now I can't like him, and I feel bad for the husband, this like no-name husband who puts it out there.
Yeah.
His wife's working for the Ravens, and that's how they met. What about him? You think that was a good idea to put that out there? You think that's okay for him to do that?
I mean,
do you think it makes, because some people are coming at him being very aggressive, Cam, and
you don't know what you do.
They're saying it makes him look like weak. Like why is your wife cheating on you? I didn't like that part.
Well, that's what you're rolling the dice to do it. So when you're that upset, man, and if he did, I bet you there's clues out the wazoo. There had to have been.
Yeah.
So he put it together, and all of a sudden it all crumbled down on him, and he saw it, and that's got to be the most horrific.
You want to know why his wife?
Hold on, man. You asked me, I'm going to tell you.
You're not answering that question,
dude. I am. Hold on.
Go.
Who knows? It could be a million different things.
Why did he put it out there?
Because in the moment, man, you're so devastated, and you want revenge so fucking bad, and you're like, I'm willing to roll the dice to get chirped being a pussy cuck boy to let this guy know he's probably going to get fired. He's going to get divorced. Now everybody hates him. So when you're in that moment, he's probably like, fuck him. I'm going to do this.
Okay, and that's fine.
Jesus, is that okay?
Well, what I was going to say.
Andy wants his own show. It would be awesome. He just talked to himself the whole time.
Hey,
it's unbelievable.
What I would say is why, because people are coming at him being like, well, why is she cheating on you? Why is she doing that?
Man. It could be a million things.
That's what I had asked you, actually.
Yeah, he asked me two things.
And the answer is
they'll tell you.
Because she sees money from this other guy. She sees fame from this other guy. She works for the Ravens. He's like a football legend,
player.
And so she's all into that, dude. He had some posts recently because he works or owns like a golf company or something, like an apparel company. And I came across it on Instagram, and he's got pictures in front of his house,
handsome guy, man.
And his blacked out G-Wagon, matte black.
Yeah, he's a pimp.
She's probably like, dude, I want some of that action.
Yeah, but those guys.
My guy works 9 to 5, so it's I'm not.
Does he?
I don't even know what he does.
Well, then you never know.
But she's obviously she comes out the biggest loser in all of this, and then Steve Smith is a close second.
Yeah, they're both. It's bad
because he's got a wife too. So some people are saying, "Why are you blaming him?" Well, dude, he's married too.
I know.
And then you know what? I feel bad for his wife. No one's talking about his wife.
We just did.
You know how embarrassed his wife is now?
I know. She's
and
crying.
She's got to deal with all that, and she's got kids and a family, and her life is completely shattered.
She's going to divorce him and get a lot of money, and now he might not be driving that G-Wagon.
And he might not be on NFL Network anymore either.
I know. So his life might crumble down upon him. It just shows you, man, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, then you might as well just divorce your wife, make it cordial and settle it, and then go do whatever you want and be a wheel. And for her, she's around those big old dicks all the time, working for the Ravens. She's seeing big dogs walking around all the time. And, she's probably done that to a couple other cats too. She's
that may come out.
Exactly.
That may come out.
There might be a couple other guys that have kids. But good thing the kids are older, because if they were young and they're in school and your daddy's having an affair, and you're going to get rocked.
This is not a Yarmir Yager situation where he's like, "Go ahead and post it."
Post that, girl. He's like, "Yeah, I banged you out and never talked to you again."
Go ahead and post it.
Good one. You really got him. You don't want to put your headphones on?
I don't think I need them right now.
You really disrupted me on that question. You asked me a question.
I didn't.
And I was about to answer it.
I'm sorry.
You messed that up. All right,
I'm sorry.
It's all good. Just so you know you did that.
I'm sorry.
No big deal. No big deal. Did you watch that charity game last night? In LA?
I texted Cam and told him.
I was jealous because I would like to play in that.
Turn it on. Well, there was some big dogs in there,
Big time. Big dogs. Some benders cruising too.
Oh my God. Some of these guys.
I will say.
Had trouble getting
if
around.
All y'all know, like the fights, like they were goofy. Like me and Biz went at it in that charity game. Way better than those two did.
You think?
I know.
The PK show?
They're like, And I saw
Roenick is like on the mic being like, pull my shirt over my head.
Yeah. I'd say smack him around a little bit.
A little bit.
What you gonna do?
Yeah.
Just let him know how powerful you are.
I thought Biz did a great job with the introductions and whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I didn't, and then PK just comes rolling in and just
Chaser is cruising around. Good thing he feels good, man. If he feels good enough to go out there and skate around.
I saw Chaser the other day at the rink.
Yeah.
On a practice day. Yeah, I think he's feeling pretty good.
Hey, even
if he's not, he's still going to find his way
he's
out
gonna do
there,
his
man.
thing.
Yeah.
Even in a big charity game like that, had nothing to do with the Blues, where there's big dog celebrities. I see Chaser on camera directing people. No. You know how he is. He's going to Mess. Nope, Mess, go there. But talk to him. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. Hey, here's what we're gonna do. You got go over there, put the puck. Oh yeah.
Was he controlling the shit?
I saw it even
maybe,
on camera.
Maybe the company he works with put the event on.
There it is.
Sparks.
There it is. Chaser's a big dog,
not
man.
the skate sharpener.
He's a big dog.
But he puts these on. He's got another one coming here to St. Louis too, I believe, in April.
Yeah, he does.
Have you been invited to that one yet or no? Okay.
I mean, invited to it.
Yeah.
I don't know that the teams are yet.
Okay.
There's going to be it's during a Blues fantasy camp too.
But I will say,
have you been invited to it? That's the question.
Not yet. But I will say they had a lot of people mic'd.
Yeah.
And they're talking over each other all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, Aaron Andrews is like interviewing people and
Yeah.
doing a pretty good job. You know, she was interviewing like a lot of the first responders and like the heroes of LA.
I saw that, yeah.
But I could tell how she, like, if you know TV a little bit, you can tell what she's saying. She's like, as she's talking to him, the camera's on her, and she's like, yeah, and I think we're going to show some video of this, you know, like basically like roll the goddamn video. Okay. So, so I don't even, I'm just like reading a script here. I'm just like filling, like roll the video so I can get into that part of the script.
Probably rushed. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't just have the camera on me right now. I really don't know like what's exactly going on.
It's a charity game.
But her mic didn't work one time. But then they had a girl behind the bench. Like Snoop Dogg would be talking or Vince Vaughn would be talking, and then she would just start talking over them.
I saw that.
I was like, what? Can somebody turn her mic
Who
down?
was that?
I want to hear Danny DeVito say something.
Sure.
Or Snoop say something, or Will Ferrell didn't have much to say. It seemed like he was kind of quiet. Or Vince Vaughn, who's kind of funny at all times, even when he's not trying to be funny.
I will say that, a lot of people are probably like, okay, raise money for wealthy area in California. All those homes are devastated. People are losing, and they're not going to be able to build back. It's such a pain in the ass to even get permits for so many different things when you build in California. You're Gavin Newsom and all these different restrictions that you have to go through. So they're going to have a pain in the ass. So I do think a lot of people are probably like, okay, like of all charities, like that's the one I might, like Asheville, North Carolina is still going through, like no one's making a charity for that area. But you could say that for a lot of different things. But I will say though, I saw that video of Bieber dressed like really goofy with those baggy. What's the deal with that baggy? And
that's the style.
He's hanging out with that. Who's the girl?
In Paris. He was in Paris, I think.
And he's like looking at her like he's like Jones and like he's like looking at her like he's all maulied out. You didn't see that video?
No, I sent it to you.
Yeah, okay. So and he's looking at me like I'm not, don't know what I'm saying. So anyway, I'm like, what is that all about? But then you look at it, man, like who knows what he's doing? The one thing about him, he freaking loves hockey, man. Yeah. And they asked him about kids. He's like, my kids are going to start playing when they're 2 years old. Like that's pretty cool.
He turns into like a hocky fan at
Big
these
time.
things. Like
it's awesome.
Like when he took the ceremonial face-off with Mark Messier. I had never seen him smile so big when he's with Messier taking the
like
photo.
That.
Messier's cool too, man. I like seeing Messier in a uniform.
Who is
on
the
camera.
singer? What's the deal? And like I dress like an idiot. Like I don't know, and I'm like, do I match? Like, But what's the deal? Like the girl singing, beautiful voice, but she's got like fucking a suit and jacket on.
I didn't know.
What's that style?
I thought it was more of an Asian fusion type outfit. I thought it had more of an Asian feel. I
see that
to
a lot.
it.
Like Billie Eilish wears that sometimes, where it's just like a suit pants
with a tie.
With a tie, what does that mean?
I don't know.
It's like a statement.
Is it?
Seems like it.
I don't know what
does
that
mean
means exactly.
You don't like
jumped. Well, I don't know.
I'm just asking.
I don't know.
I mean,
I
love everybody.
That's a question that you want to
Is that
pose.
What that? Because it's not sexy, right? Like
no, it's not sexy.
You're not like showing off like fuck. I'm a badass. It's more like I kind of dress him like a dude a little bit. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
no big deal.
Maybe it was cold inside the rink. Maybe I don't know.
No, it has nothing to do with anything. Good Lord, nothing to do with it.
PK and Messier. How about Drew Doughty calls out PK for choosing USA over Canada on television, and then they run into each other on camera at this event. And PK says to him on camera, well, I got to do that. It's my job for TV. It's like my job. And it's like, dude, you're like celebrating when Canada won. Everyone knew you were going for Canada. All you had to do was watch the previous game. Everyone knew you were going for Canada anyway. And you're Canadian. I wouldn't expect you to go for USA. Like, I didn't think you were ever going for USA. That's why we talked about last episode about how ESPN kind of dropped the ball by not having anybody on there who was American, who
Can't
was going,
find anybody.
and then they have them isolated, and the goal is scored, and they're celebrating like
Can't find anybody.
Like it's the Summit Series from 1972. But it was a big game. You know what I mean? Some people are saying that they should have had a best 2 out of 3 for the championship round. That a one game. I mean, it is what it is. That's the 4 nations. We can't read too much into the 4 nations.
That was good. You can't really pick it apart. They did a pretty damn good job.
Really
the injury stuff, maybe to have a couple guys. I don't know. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Canada won, man. They're still on top, dude. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
They went 1-1 against the Americans.
Canada won that thing, dude. Just like fucking playing football. And you win the regular season, and then when it fucking counts for
you may lose to them in the regular season, but then you play them again in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
And everybody knows that was the big game, and they won.
Okay.
Canada's still on top.
Yeah.
So everybody tweets out about this and that. Listen, it is what it is. They won. They still got the big dogs, and they're still roaming.
What about all the Canadian fans and the media being like, Canada's biggest weakness is their goaltending?
Oh yeah,
and they have the weakest goaltending in the tournament. And I kept hearing that, and I'm just like, man, I don't know why everyone's saying that. And they almost make you like want to believe it. Like, okay, like, are they really, because the Blues aren't in the playoffs and whatnot?
Yep.
And I guess we'll see. And then the first couple games for Binnington, like, he made some important saves, but he wasn't like lights out by any means.
No.
And then in the final game, he just
shut the door.
He just shut the door, but he didn't just shut the door. He made some unreal saves. That save on Brady Tkachuk was incredible. The blocker save on Austin Matthews was great.
Glove save on Matthews.
The glove save on Matthews with the puck being deflected. Like, from that area of the ice is just amazing. And, some people are critical of a lot of these stars who didn't produce at a high rate in this tournament, man. But, you're going up against the best of the best of the best of the best, man. I'll give McKinnon and Crosby and McDavid and these guys credit for coming through, But, Austin Matthews, man, I don't know. It's just it's a different level. Even though Marner had a good final game and he made a couple unreal passes, and he came through in that final game, he was quiet during most of the tournament. But Jacob Slavin getting a lot of credit and a lot of attention. But we had him on. And I remember us talking with him during the interview about this guy's got the best stick in the league. And it's like, I just think everyone needs to pay a little more attention
to
other teams, man. And there's a lot of great players around the league, dude, that don't play in Canada, that don't play in Edmonton, they don't play in Toronto, they don't play in Montreal, they don't play in New York or Boston. They play in Carolina, they play in St. Louis, they play in different places.
Yep.
And they're unreal world-class players. Just because you don't know who they are or you don't watch them play, don't pretend that you know who they are because you don't watch them play. And then you see them when they're on the big stage and you're like, whoa, this guy's unbelievable. Like he just established that in the tournament, man. Jacob Slavin, people who have watched him have known that he's had the best stick in the league, have known that he's been just a silent assassin on the back end. And he's got that long stick, and he's strong, and he doesn't lose battles, and he's smart, and he's intelligent. He can defend speed. He closes on you, man. He's just got everything that you really want, and he doesn't cuss on the ice either, man. He's a great person.
Yeah, he is. Freaking, what did he say that one time? I don't know.
Frick,
yeah. What the frick? I love that, man. I really do. But who do you look at in that tournament? You're like, you're not making that Olympic team.
For which team?
U.S.
Well, I would look at Kreider,
Nelson.
I mean,
I would say what about Adam Fox?
We'll see.
According to if you had to draw out the lineup after that tournament,
we'll see. He didn't have a great final game. He didn't have an overwhelming tournament.
Great final play where he just kind of loses. And he goes in kind of no man's land, and he has to skate all the way around the net again to go to Mitch Marner.
He turned the puck over earlier in the game, too. That led to the Sam Bennett goal.
Sam Bennett was awesome.
He was, dude. He had like 6 shots on goal through the first period.
So good, man.
Listen, man, Florida's going to have to make some decisions in terms of what they want to do here because
big-time contract.
I had heard that they were close to an extension at one point. And then for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but it didn't get done.
Yeah.
What would you pay him? Would you pay him 7.5?
Well, how many points does he have this year? What did he have last year? I'm just curious, so we know.
That's fine. That's fine. And he's making around 4.4, somewhere in that range now.
What was his stat line? Just so the people know out there too, because even that goal when Mitch Marner had made a nice little play on that, and everybody broke this down before. It's all good. We know, but like he's unique. He is so unique. He comes down like he could have made. He had a lot of options there, and he took the one where he's just slid it perfectly. Holbeck's like, effortless.
Hellebuck.
Hellebuck didn't even flinch.
No. He just didn't move.
He's like, whoa, oh, you put it there? I thought you were going to go to backhand.
Put it over my shoulder?
Put it over my shoulder, that little spot right there. Interesting.
Under the bar.
Could have passed it to Marner.
Well, he made the right decision. But he
did.
scored 20 goals last year.
So what was his stat line? What do you got?
20, 21, and 41 last year.
He's going to make $7.5 million.
That was in 69 games. Really, by 20 and 21. Typically, that wouldn't make you 7.5. Now, it's because he's a winner and all the intangibles, the intimidation factor, the physicality, the gamesmanship.
You could play him anywhere.
He knows how to win. But I would warn everyone, and I would warn Sam Bennett, you're with an organization that values you. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Calgary basically gave you away. You were a healthy scratch a couple of games before they traded you and before you found your way to Florida. You're with an organization that loves you, that values you, that you've won with.
In a good spot.
So I would just be careful thinking that, hey, I'm just going to chase the money because whatever they offer you, it's probably going to be somewhat close, I would think, to whatever you're going to get in free agency. They're not going to completely lowball you, I wouldn't think. I don't know what the offer was made or what the offer was that was made before when they were talking. And I'm sure they're going to continue to talk. They're not just going to give up on Sam Bennett. But with Matthew Tkachuk being injured and there's a possibility that he may not return, he's supposed to meet with specialists today.
Groin.
He'll meet with specialists today. This happened in the third period of the first game against Canada.
Yeah.
And then obviously he just thought he could go. He honestly thought he could go in the championship game. And this is where the U.S. coaching staff, I think, maybe didn't think it all the way through. Maybe they did. But by playing Kreider, who you only played 6 minutes, I think, in the game, and knowing Tkachuk maybe limited because he's hurt, Matthews was a little bit banged up. You had Brady Tkachuk, who was a little bit banged up.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe you should have protected yourself by putting Kyle Connor in the lineup, man. This guy's a true sniper. He can end the game at any moment. You go into overtime. How nice would it be when you consider the chances the Americans were getting? How nice would it have been to have that guy as an option to go to put on the ice who could just end the game with one shot? So
fast.
I just think if they had to do that all over again, and Connor didn't have a great tournament, I get it, but sometimes it's tough, man. Like, to figure out your role, you're used to in a specific role. You just can't get into your rhythm and in your groove, like you said, man, because you're not playing the same number of minutes that you're typically playing. You're not being used the same way. It's not easy, for a guy like McKinnon and Crosby and McDavid. They're pretty much, nothing really changes for them. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how they're being used, how much they're playing. Maybe they're playing a little bit less, but McDavid still played 23 minutes. I think in that final game, McCarr's playing 28 minutes. Like, these guys are still playing a ton. It's different versus the guy who's used to playing 20, 21 minutes, who's now playing 13, 14 minutes, man. It's harder, I think, for those
Sometimes
guys.
less than that, too.
Less than that, yeah.
You get to start getting potted. Not to mention they're mixing and matching the lines so much.
Yeah.
There's a point in that game where you couldn't. I mean, they're just trying to find something going.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. There's so many different players getting mixed and matched. But overall, that was really cool. That whole thing was really, really cool.
No, listen, it was way better than I thought it would. It would be.
Yeah, because people asked us and we're like, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. But they did a good job with that. Thank you to the Tkachuk boys, by the way.
They're the ones that did
Everybody's
that.
like, the players, God, they were really, really into it. Some of those games are kind of boring. No, the Tkachuk boys.
They made everyone else get
No one
into
cared
it.
before that Saturday game, to be honest with you.
They did.
Just so everybody knows.
And everyone was excited about the USA versus Canada matchup.
No one even really talked about it was when the fight happened. That's what brought all the attention and all the eyeballs and all the emotion into that tournament.
Cam, and I tweeted this out, and I said, everyone can talk about all the eyes that were on USA hockey here in this country, okay? The non-hockey people, the celebrities, the media outside of the NHL. Well, why were they watching? It was because of the fighting.
That's it.
It wasn't the passing and the shooting and the skating. We all know that's elite and it's high-end and it's world-class, and we all love it, who, focus on the game, and it's our life to focus on we love watching hockey every day. Of course we love that. But the people outside of the game who don't watch hockey, that's what they love. They're like, what? They're fighting each other? This is crazy. So it just forces you to pay attention. So when people ask, like, what's this going to do for the game? I don't know. I mean, those guys that loved watching USA versus Canada, and it became appointment television, and they watched the championship game, I don't know if they're automatically going to go watch a random NHL game. on a Saturday night or a Tuesday night or a Thursday night. But when you have country versus country playing each other, it just brings out a different level of interest, a different level of emotion for everybody, including the players. And I think that's what gravitates a lot of eyeballs towards your sport when the game is Canada versus USA versus the Buffalo Sabres versus the Detroit Red Wings.
It's all about the fights, though, man.
Yeah, it's all.
And no one really would even talk about it too much. They would, but it wouldn't have blown up the way it did. And there's other aspects, political aspects in the mix too.
Sure.
I'll give you an aspect. I'll give you an example too. Like, Around the Horn, which a lot of people watch that. It's on ESPN or whatever it is.
I think
Fox.
they used to watch it. Yeah.
Olivier fought Reeves the other day. And those guys never talk hockey ever. Like, if you really look at it and you put the percentages together and you break it down, it's nothing. And they went out and they talked about how long that fight was. Like, it gets eyeballs. It still does. It really does. So,
well, that's where having these games on ESPN and ABC, this is where there's an advantage to having these games. And because you've got producers putting together shows. And listen, the NHL is a rights holder. It's a partner of ESPN. And I think a lot of these producers are probably like, hey, they're probably being told, Cam, you got to fit the NHL in your show somehow, some way, at some point. You don't have to do it every day. Right. They're not telling Stephen A. Smith to do that because he ain't listening, and they're never going to talk hockey on First Take. But around the horn, when there's something that's going on, you can get some producers. John Butchergross probably knows some of these producers.
Hell yeah, he does.
He's like, hey, put this fight, sends this fight to the producer. Check this out, what happened last night. It makes its way into SportsCenter.
Non-hockey fans will get into it.
Makes its way onto the rundown for SportsCenter. Makes its way into the rundown for these other shows that you're talking about. PTI, part of the interruption. Yep. They've always liked hockey. They don't talk about it all the time, but they'll sneak it in there.
They'll sneak it in once in a while, unless something big happens like
that. But it's
That's
the fighting that gets people's attention.
A big hit or a fight, which usually coexists.
And USA versus Canada. And when Canadians are booing the national anthem, and you've got Trump tweeting stuff out, and Trump talking about the 51st state and all that type of stuff, it just brought out, you kind of had everything kind of coming together. It's similar to 1980 because there was a political aspect that was going on there too, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Big time. Cold War, baby. In the heat of the Cold War. Little shout out to our boy. Who am I thinking of? Who's our boy? Hasn't been on the pod. We would love to. Who's our boy? Who's the most entertaining guy in the last 20 years?
At what? Like
at hockey, Andy.
At hockey?
What else do you pay attention to?
Okay. At hockey.
Come on.
Man, well, Zegras is my boy too, and he's going to have a hearing today, so I didn't know if that's what you're talking about.
Ovi, man,
oh my God. Okay, got the Hattie last
really
night.
Good at this.
Just I don't know where you're going with this. I'm thinking Canada, USA.
No.
All
right,
I'm thinking like you're on that train still.
Well, no, we're not. That happened
Ovi
fucking a month ago.
Should have played in the Four Nations, but he wasn't in the Four Nations. This is why. But it's like Russia cannot play. We cannot have Russia, but we can celebrate his hat trick the next day. Yeah, man, this guy's unbelievable. He's going to do it in the regular season now.
Unbelievable, man. And
which is just crazy.
Did you see the family there and little Ovi on the glass like, Daddy, Daddy. And he goes over every time he scores. Ovi Jr. goes over and he hits. He's so cool, man. Like Ovi's, we've talked about him so many different times. I'm going to be up there. I'm going to go up. Hopefully I can see him in the locker room. I bet you he'll probably bounce out before we go. And I'm going to go up there for radio. I'm going to see Willie, too, see if I could find him. Big Tom Wilson scored again. I thought he got hurt the other day. But that Capitals team's unbelievable, man. I don't know. No one predicted this, by the way. No one came into the season like, I think they're going to do it this year.
No.
These guys, and people were even maybe a couple weeks ago or whatever the case is, they're like, no, they'll fade out. They're not, dude. They dominate. They are damn good.
Can I tell you that this Ovi chase is contributing to that?
Of course it is.
It's completely galvanized that entire locker room.
It's unbelievable.
And everyone is on board with it. And I think Ovi is the type of teammate that even though it's all about him, he's not doing it. It's not annoying. It's not overwhelming for the rest of the group. No. It's not taking over the rest of the group. Because there's different types of attention that certain players can get
100%
where
right.
it annoys the shit out of everybody else and everyone behind the scenes is like, fuck this guy, man. All he cares about is himself. Versus this type of situation where the entire team is like jumping on the Ovi train. They want him to get the record. They want to be a part of it. They love the historical aspect of it. And it's made the team perform at such a high level, man, where
it's unbelievable.
You got to watch out for the Washington Capitals who
that team
are getting great goaltending too. They got a great coach.
Yeah, they're cool. but they love him. They generally like as a
Yeah.
teammate, they're like, we fucking love this guy.
Yeah.
He is. They look up to him. So there's some guys, man. There's some, just like you said, there's some superstars that they don't love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you that they're sitting in their little corner and it's all about them and they do a little media and they bounce out and
Yeah.
they don't really interact with the guys. Ovi's the fucking main show
Yeah.
everywhere and
Yeah.
people gravitate to that. They love him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference. Not everybody loves each other.
Mhm.
Not everybody loves every superstar when we're on a team. Some are goddamn annoying,
Yeah.
really annoying.
And where it's all about
It's
them.
all
the
about them, and
time.
you actually don't like them.
LeBron.
And oh god, he hates himself.
He
Didn't
does?
even sarcastic. He didn't even play in that fucking All-Star game. Literally dresses up just to take a picture. He didn't even get in the outfit. He
Didn't
took
even put
somebody's
the
spot.
uniform on.
He took some young kid's spot just to show. Oh god, he's annoying.
But you know what? I will say, PK, man, he did come to bat
I
for
like PK, dude.
the NHL
Damn right he did.
on
I'm glad you
some of
brought that
these
up.
on some of these platforms,
He did.
and I think he has an advantage over
Why?
other analysts. I think it's more relatable to a lot of these other analysts too.
Well,
man.
he's an African American
No,
going on
he's
all.
not American.
He's an African Canadian. He's black. He's a black guy that played hockey, who's very well spoken, extreme, handsome, smart. He goes on all these shows, and he's literally bashing the NBA.
Mhm.
And none of them have any rebuttal
They
whatsoever.
have no rebuttal.
None. They're scared of him. And he's up there, and he just looks so like he's like, "What? You want to counter me? Let's go." And it was unique and it's cool, and nobody else in this league
Yeah.
could do that.
No,
Nobody besides
nobody.
him.
I don't know of a hockey analyst.
Nobody. Imagine you went up there and started back. Imagine anybody
Mhm.
that's not him goes up there. Even Messier to these
Yeah.
big dogs. They go up there and start bashing the NBA. They'd be like, "This racist son of a fucking bitch. What'd you say about us?"
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
PK goes up there proud. He didn't bash
Well,
the
they
US.
can't go down that road.
He didn't. No. He didn't bash the U.S. He played everything pretty cool.
Mhm.
Even though we said that we'd like to get an American on that panel,
Yeah.
I thought PK did a pretty
No,
good job.
he did a great job with that. Listen, I don't
Mhm.
think PK's analysis is great during the games. Like, I don't think his breakdowns during the intermission is always great.
You're seeing the game
but-
anyway.
But it's, he's there to provide entertainment, but he's also there to be a mouthpiece and a spokesperson for the game.
Mhm.
And as long as he does that, man, he's going to have a place in this business for as long as
And
he wants.
that's
dude.
great,
And
man.
he's going to make a shit ton of money doing it. And so I really appreciated him doing that, dude. Because
Could you imagine the NBA players watching that though? Those
they don't listen. They don't care, and this is the difference though between NBA and the NHL, man. Like, these guys come from a completely different background, completely different world. They make so much damn money, Cam. I mean, these guys are making $50, $60 million a year in some cases. A year.
I know.
A lot of these NHL stars will never even make that in terms of their entire career.
Most won't.
I mean, the best players, we all know the McDavids and the McKinnons and the Matthews, and these guys are making, north of 12. But the best players in the league, are making in that 8 to 10 range, 8, 9 million bucks, man. These guys are making 50, 60, 40, 50 million
$350 million contract.
a year.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting their shoe contracts and whatever. They don't have to care about anything else. I think when you make that much money and you have the world on your fingertip and everything is just so, I just think
You're wrong.
I think it leads to these guys just not caring.
You're
man.
wrong. These guys are so fucking petty. Are you kidding me? They're watching that saying, "Who the fuck is this guy?" If you're an NBA player that watches, this isn't going on in the locker room, and you're sitting there, I don't give a fuck if you have $10 billion. You're looking at this guy. Who is this guy? Who's this Canadian?
No, that's not what I don't know what you're talking about.
No. I said
You said I'm wrong.
you're wrong that the players don't care about what PK said. I said, yes, they do.
The NBA players?
Yes, man. That was what we're talking about.
Mhm.
They don't care about anything else they don't care about the All-Star game.
I didn't say they don't care about what PK said.
Well, that's
I
what we're
said
talking
they don't
about.
care about playing in the All-Star game
No,
and
who
doing all
does?
that
That's
other
near the
shit. That's
NHL
what I'm
player.
talking about.
The NHL
They
players
don't
don't.
like getting bashed and called out.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
You're off today.
No, dude. I'm hearing what you're saying.
Maddie, can we rewind that real quick? It's all good.
Yeah,
But
no.
I said my
yeah.
point is like the NBA players are looking at PK Subban, who they don't know, who they have $250 million more worth, way more popularity,
Right, dude.
and they're like, "Who the hell is
They're
this
like
guy?"
celebrities.
So PK is ballsy for doing this because now you got all these NBA players like, "Fuck this guy."
PK could walk down the street in St. Louis, and there's a chance that a lot of people wouldn't even know who the hell he was.
No, they wouldn't.
They would know who Kevin Durant is.
Of course, he sticks out like a sore thumb.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
They would know who a lot of these NBA superstars are. And
Yeah.
a lot of these kids would be too. A lot of these kids that are like, my son's age and whatever, they know who all the NBA players are. They don't really know PK Subban unless they're watching
You're right.
like ESPN and they see him on there. They don't really remember him from his career. So what I'm saying, Cam, we're on the same page. These NBA players make so much money, different background, whatever. Yeah, they don't want to be called out. But in terms of like playing every game and giving it their all
For
in
the
the
fans.
All-Star game and all
They
that,
don't care.
and about the fans and all
about
that.
the fans,
dude. All that's been taken away because they make so much money. Like they don't have the same
they're all
care
selfish.
in the world.
It's a selfish game. It's more of a selfish game, than a hockey game, and we all know that. It's all, and I would be too probably
And
if I'm the lead dick in an NBA team.
They're just
I'm
more
not gonna
selfish
care.
people than like what you would find for some of these good old boys who play in the NHL.
No
man.
doubt. So my point is though, but imagine those guys, Andy. Imagine those fucking guys in the locker room. They're sitting there before practice, and they got the TVs on, and PK Subban is bashing them. They're like, they're looking at each other like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
Can you imagine that?
It'd be like it's like a soccer analyst. You just don't know who he is. Sometimes these soccer guys come on and whatever.
Yeah, and they start,
and you're like, what? Okay.
like, bitch,
so,
what?
So I think it made an impact in the hockey world. I don't think the NBA players give two shits what he has to say, man. You know what I mean? I think they don't like being called out.
Well, yeah, they're gonna be pissy.
But it's really not
ballsy.
gonna.
It's ballsy for PK though. That's why I like. That's why I'm giving him a shout out because I think it's ballsy. Like you're calling all these cats out, and PK's all around, so he's gonna see some of these guys too. It's cool. He did a good job on that, man.
Kevin Durant had some like rebuttals, I think, on Instagram.
Did he? Because I was worried.
Like
I was wondering about that.
Very simple, like go enjoy your life or something like that,
Yeah,
or something.
settle down, little boy.
Yeah, like
like I don't even need to think of you.
Right.
But they're petty. They're all petty, and they're looking at him like "fuck you." So anyway,
and
it's all good.
And in terms of the All-Star games, let's not forget we are hanging our hat on this Four Nations tournament, which is a unique situation.
Yeah.
NHL players haven't given an effort in the All-Star game in several years. The All-Star game for the NHL has been a complete disaster.
Yep.
It's been terrible. It's been awful.
Kucherov.
So if we're comparing the Four Nations and pumping our chest because of the Four Nations and then bashing the NBA All-Star game, if this was a traditional year and you had an NHL All-Star game going on, you wouldn't be able to do that.
No doubt.
Because no one gives a shit about the NHL All-Star game either, including the players, where they don't even try in the NHL All-Star game. So, they weren't bashing the Americans when they won the Summer Olympics and they, Steph Curry's, drilling three-pointers from half court and showing some like care for his country and some of that type of stuff. Like, and winning the gold medal, you know what I mean? Like nobody was bashing the Team USA then. So you just can't compare what just took place during the Four Nations and saying, NBA, you guys got to show up and you got to care.
Well, he did.
Dude, Obi, there's been times where he didn't show up to the All-Star game.
I know.
There's been times Crosby didn't show up to the All-Star game. There's been times other NHL superstars said, no, I'm not going to the All-Star game. They don't want to go to the All-Star game. So you got to keep the context kind of where it is. We're not talking NHL All-Star game versus NBA All-Star game. We're talking about a unique international tournament that the Tkachuks took to the next level because of the fighting. It got a lot of attention, and therefore we're saying, NBA players, you need to be more like us. You need to care, even though you don't give two shits about your own All-Star game either.
There it is. Good point. That's what I was saying. All-Star games suck.
They all suck.
NBA, or how about the NFL's the worst?
Oh, my God. They don't show up for that either. And what are they even doing? Playing
they're in
flag
Hawaii.
football? They used to.
I was going to say, that's why they showed up.
Yeah.
Party in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I'd go down there.
Free trip to Hawaii. They
Damn
bring
right.
their whole family down there.
Yeah.
But,
baseball, stupid.
That's the closest thing to somewhat competitive. I mean, I think the pitchers are still throwing 100 miles an hour. The home run hitters are still trying to hit home runs.
The derbies, whatever.
It's
kinda
July. Cool. It's like there's so much history. Baseball's always been a big part of American history. 4th of July, all that. It's right around then. I don't know.
Speaking of sports, can I say something real quick? So we have STL City here, MLS, which is like the 16th best league in the world. In soccer.
Yeah.
No, did you not know that?
No, I did.
Yeah, it's like the 16th best. It's like it's probably like playing in Nottingham maybe or something.
It's like
anyway,
the UFL in football or something.
So like it's packed down in St. Louis. They built this new arena. It's really nice.
Stadium.
It's nice. Even like this little area of St. Louis looks safe. It's cool. They got restaurants there. But like they play a game last night. Their home opener at home. The opposing team
Saturday night.
The opposing team doesn't have one shot on goal and they tie. And they did it 13 times last year. They tied 13 times. How many games do they play? It's unbelievable. Not one shot on goal, and they tie.
God.
That's
Does
why I
the
can't get
goalie
into
still
it.
get a shutout for that?
I don't know how that works. Not one shot, and they tie. Everybody's kind of. I read the paper this morning. They're chirping them, and people love that. There's a lot of soccer fans in St. Louis, but I can't get into it, man.
Hey, I want to talk to the Canadians real quick because I don't like to tell you what to think or how you should react to certain things.
I know.
Because I don't live in Canada, man.
Yeah.
So the emotional or the emotions they're feeling and thinking
emotional. It
is we can't even get there because we're not Canadian.
No, it'll be okay
and
though.
They feel betrayed by Wayne Gretzky because of his relationship with Donald Trump and wearing the hat that says "Make America Great Again," and he's showing support to Donald Trump. And I don't know if Trump threw Wayne under the bus by after having these interactions with each other, then he goes out and says, we're going to make it the 51st state and do all this type of stuff. And
shouldn't have said that.
And then now Gretzky's automatically lumped in with Wayne or with Trump, and he's, wearing the MAGA hats and doing all this type of stuff. But to see Wayne Gretzky, who's such an international icon, and to me, he is Canada. And he has done a shit ton for Canada. And some of these Canadians coming at me on social media being like, what has he done? Like, what has he done? He's the face of your country. He's been the face of your country. You know how many events and how much money he's raised for Canada?
Oh, my God, dude.
Over the years?
Such a nice guy.
To see him now be booed and be hated by a portion of his fan base and his country, I just can't, that's hard to watch, man. And what Canadians need to understand is a lot of these hockey heroes and icons have become Americanized. They live here. All these NHL players that I know who live here, they're all about America and USA. They love USA. They love being here. They consider themselves Americans more so than even Canadians, the ones that have stayed here. And they feel like almost more relatable to the American way of life versus the Canadian way of life. So while you're booing Gretzky, you may think that this guy and that guy and this guy, all these Canadian hockey players that you love, a lot of these guys have similar thoughts and opinions that Gretzky does. They may not have made them as public, but when you talk to them privately, they're all about Trump and they're all about USA. So, I just think that's where I don't think Canadians truly understand how many of their American heroes who have stayed here, including Bobby Orr, who have stayed here for 50 years or whatever it's been for Bobby Orr, who came out and made some comments about, hey, kind of leave Wayne Gretzky alone. These guys have become essentially American.
Yep, you're right. Good point. Real good point. And I think they're shocked by that now because how can you tell unless something drastic happens and there's a political warfare going on and where everybody's opinion comes out and then you get to judge people and you see different things and now you're calculating everything and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, all our stars, they do live in the US, they do support this, they do support that, and they're kind of freaking out right now.
Right.
But I do think the Canadian way of life and the American way of life are pretty damn similar, to be fair. It is. Now, there's a bunch of different things up there that are different than the United States, but the United States, man, there's a lot of guys that come down here. You just got to realize that. They get a little sniff down here and play for a team, they stay.
Yeah.
Usually they're young and they raise a family. We don't need to go back, and they kind of weigh the options or whatever. And there's some guys that maybe stay up there. I don't know, but you're right. You're 100% right. But they're quiet about it.
But they have no idea, they would be shocked if they knew. I mean,
they don't. They're starting to
I'm
figure it
not
out
going
now.
to speak for Mario Lemieux or any of these guys, but I don't know. How do you know what they think? How do you know they're not on the same page as Wayne Gretzky? And while you're bashing Wayne Gretzky, you had no idea that he was just in the Canadian dressing room reading out the lineups and giving them a pump-up speech. Of course he's going for Canada. That's his country. But don't treat him like that.
Yeah.
Like
but
that.
They're not listening
Don't
to you.
treat no.
Just so you know.
No. But don't treat Gretzky like that.
But they're not.
What did he do? You know what I mean?
They are already setting their way, dude.
I know.
They're just setting
But
their
they
way.
do, and I understand, they feel a sense of betrayal. You know what I'm saying? they feel like he has
Wayne knew Donald Trump before he was president.
correct.
They've been friends for a while, golfing and stuff. Like, it's just like, that's his buddy.
But I think it's also
There's a couple other guys, too, that have been friends with Trump.
Oh,
No, actually,
yeah.
a ton. Trump
Yeah.
knows a lot
But
of
you have no
athletes.
idea who aligns themselves with more so of the thinking of Wayne Gretzky versus,
They're
maybe
shocked.
a Canadian who
Yeah.
lives in Canada and who is like kind of anti-American right now, and he's participating and booing the national anthem
Yeah.
and all that. Like, but I do think it's and maybe Wayne doesn't care, but it's something that maybe these guys need to be cognizant of at the same time. Photo ops, how you're presenting yourself. You can be friends with whoever you want. Tom Brady, went through that at the same time. I think he had a MAGA hat inside his locker at one point. And he's an American, so it's a little bit of a different
He's a
story.
Nazi.
But he took a lot of heat for it. But, maybe you just leave some of your political opinions and feelings. You kind of try a little harder to keep those private because it does upset a lot of people. And I can only imagine what Wayne is thinking. I mean, they brought him out, Cam, for the to center ice for the games in Boston, not for the games in Montreal. And that was done purposely, in my opinion. I think they knew they probably couldn't do that in Montreal. Maybe he wasn't planning to go
Who
there.
came
I
out in
don't know.
Montreal?
Mario Lemieux.
Okay. Well,
They
it's like
brought
one or
out-
the other.
I know, and he's French, Mario Lemieux.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think they also knew, or maybe they weren't even thinking, and maybe it's a good thing.
Did it blow up? Yeah.
They bring Wayne Gretzky out there.
I think it blew up more with Wayne the last game, after last game. I don't know. Maybe you're right on that.
No, they didn't bring him out. If they bring him out in Montreal to center ice, Cam, he probably gets booed.
Yeah.
And
That's so
then
weird.
people are like reaching, well, he's not wearing a Canadian
Poppy,
jersey or a
this.
poppy or Canadian colors. And I don't know what the thought is behind that. Maybe they're right. I have no idea. I just
Maybe
would never
Wayne's just
think
like-
that way. Michael Ruzioni had the USA jersey on, so that's his identity, is
But wait,
USA hockey.
but wait. Wayne does so many different events.
Mhm.
Mike Ruzioni represents U.S. everywhere he goes. Like, that's
He
what he
is.
is. He is U.S., right? So Wayne goes to charity events, to golf tournaments, blah, 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 blah. And Wayne's like, they're probably like, hey, Wayne, can you come out and drop the puck for Four Nations? He's like, yeah, I will. Let me get dressed and I'll go there. He's probably just, it's more of a simpler mindset than a
Yeah.
Mike Ruzioni who, I mean, that's why he's around,
Mhm.
because he wore that. Gretter's around because he's done so many different things. This
Dude,
huge umbrella.
Gretzky doesn't want to put a jersey on.
No, just
dude.
let him do his thing. He's
You know
there.
what I'm saying?
If he said no, then you'd be like, whoa,
It's just
he was
not,
there.
That's not really his style. I don't need to put a hockey jersey on
Well,
to
he
go to
looks sharp.
center ice.
Exactly. That's my point.
But you
Like,
don't think these players were in awe to see Wayne
course.
Gretzky inside their dressing room beforehand and have him read the national? That's why I love that John Cooper and whoever else was involved with that, whether it's Don
Yeah.
Sweeney or whoever, who invited Wayne to come to the dressing room to do that. But while you're criticizing Wayne for like being anti-Canadian and pro-American, he came out by the American bench and he gave them a thumbs up. Didn't even look at the Canadian bench. He just talked to all those guys. He was just in their dressing room behind the scenes. So I do think they're reaching a little
I
bit.
agree with you. I do. What do you think of the Matt Rimpe hit?
I did see it last night.
There's a couple hits we'll go through. 3 of them.
You
What do you
know-
think of that? It was okay. He turned. In my
Mhm.
opinion, he just turned.
Yeah.
The kid didn't. Like, you got to know he's there, man. Like,
Yeah.
the kid's head's down. Who was
I
that he
don't-
hit?
Grizzlick, right?
Grizzly. Yeah.
I don't think every time Matt Rempe hits somebody, we just have to react
I
this
know.
way.
Thank you.
There
And
are
they did a good job of
there
taking
are
the 5 off.
some. Yeah, exactly. There are some where he crosses the line, and the league needs to get involved with
Of
it.
course.
But this
he's
one,
so big, man. It's hard
he's
to.
just tall. I've seen him with the
I
shirt
know.
off and stuff like that. He's kind of lanky and
He's 6'7".
yeah,
Like, he's
but
just a lanky
he's
guy.
a big guy.
That hit didn't bother me. Trevor Zegras, though, on the other hand,
That's dirty.
really dirty.
Oh my God, Z.
What was that all about?
I don't know.
And they're playing pretty well right now, Anaheim.
They passed or they're tied with St. Louis, I think.
They're past St. Louis. Well, now that St. Louis won last
Yeah,
night
I
against
think they're
Colorado,
tied
that
or
did not
something.
look good, by the way.
Colorado. Hey,
I don't know what their deal is. They just
and I know McCarr. He was on the ice for a couple of goals last night, and I know McKinnon and these guys probably are a little bit
Hughes did a
tired.
really good job of shutting them down.
But without Rantanen, they've got nothing
Nate
behind
just,
those
Nate
guys.
just did nothing in that game. Didn't even notice them.
They've got nothing behind those guys. Hey, we talked about it a few weeks ago about Carolina. Now, hey, everyone now is talking about this now.
Right. That's a good get. Andy, what's
Everyone's
that?
talking about this now.
Let's go.
Where should Carolina trade him? And there's talks about offer that was made. And well, of course they're going to be making offers, and nobody should be surprised that it's a monster offer. I don't see him signing in Carolina though. And if Matthew Tkachuk, again, we're doing this on a Monday. He's having testing done today. There is a good chance we don't see him the rest of the season. Now, Paul Maurice has said, hey, he thinks they will see him at some point this year. We just don't know. We'll find out. They got to be careful. He was playing his best hockey maybe of his career, even going into the Four Nations. He was playing unbelievable, and obviously was playing great at the Four Nations before he got hurt. I just they got to be careful. They want to make sure that they're going to be smart with Matthew. But what do you do if you're Florida? How does that change your mindset? Do you try to bring in another player who's making 9.5? Do you say, hey, let's go get Rantanen and bring him in? And then if we get Matthew back, we can bring him back onto the roster when the playoffs start? You're going to have $9.5 million available. Like, what do you do? Or do you say, hey, we can't win without Matthew? We've got Ekblad we got to make a decision on. We've got Schmidt we got to make a decision on. We've got Sam Bennett we've got to make a decision on. We can't just lose all these guys for nothing, where they all walk, we don't get anything in return, and we don't have Matthew Tkachuk. And in my opinion, I don't think they can win a Stanley Cup without Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, maybe they can.
He drags them into the fight, man.
Maybe they can, but I don't know if they can. That would be a tall challenge, he's just a different type of player, and he makes such a difference for that team. So do you sell these guys off at the deadline if you're Florida, or do you just roll with it and try to win again?
Not to mention, Florida's been playing more games than anybody in the last couple of years. Like, I don't know how. What do you do? There's so many guys on that team that are so probably banged up that they're evaluating.
Sam Reinhart was kind of quiet too, man.
He was really quiet in that tournament. Didn't even notice him.
Like, for a guy who scores, he scores a ton of power play goals, and he is
not many power plays in that. We got to give the refs a shout out too, by the way. But it's all good. But no, what do you do? I bet you.
What do you do if you're Florida though?
Well, if I'm the medical trainer, I'm like, I bet you there's so many guys that have so many injuries that they're going to have to get surgery or whatever, and maybe they're going to be able to last through. They're going to last through 4 rounds. 2 years of playing.
But you hang on to these guys.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
You just let them walk for nothing?
Where's Matthew at? Like, where, like, how bad is it? Like, there's a lot of questions.
No, it's bad. It's really bad.
What's a pull growing or a torn growing? How long does that take to heal? If he got surgery now? Like,
it's gonna be, from what I hear, at least 1 to 2 months.
It takes you into April. I don't know. That's not that long.
Assuming that's maybe the best case scenario.
Oh, man.
The worst case scenario is maybe there's a surgery or whatever, and they have to shut him down for the rest of the season. That's the worst case. Best case, he misses a month, 2 months. You know what I mean?
You already got your cookie.
Reinhart, they re-signed. I just think if I'm Bill Zito, I just do anything possible to try to get Brady Tkachuk on this team. You got to get Brady and Matthew together.
So maybe you will sell off a couple.
But I don't know if I'm sure he's got a no move or whatever. He ain't going to Ottawa.
How does that work? Like for Brady, like
Brady's got I think he can negotiate an extension. I think as soon as this summer, and that's when his no move kicks in, I believe. So unless it was like a Florida or whatever. Like, I just feel like, and I talked about this before with Tkachuk, and it's nothing anti-Ottawa. We've just seen this with his brother already. I just see the same thing happening. Like, my opinion, I just don't see him staying in Ottawa his entire career, okay? It's just not going to happen. So once he has the muscle to dictate where he goes, like, and he gets the no move, now he can kind of drive the bus in terms of if there's a trade that's going to happen, the team isn't going to give up what they're going to have to give up to get Brady Tkachuk unless they know they're going to be able to sign him to an extension. Now he can do a sign-in trade. He can get there with a full, contract extension in his back pocket. But I just...
What's that extension going to look like?
Oh,
What's that extension going to look like?
$11 million a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the cap going up and whatever. Yeah. Matthew's at 9.5 and he's underpaid.
Yeah,
Matthew should be. I mean, if Austin Matthews is making,
14,
whatever he's making, exactly. Like, Matthew Tkachuk should be making certainly close to that. And I know Austin Matthews is a great player. I'm not just going off of Four Nations, okay? But he hasn't had the playoff success either. Austin Matthews eventually needs to have the playoff success.
No doubt.
Now, I didn't mind Austin Matthews' game in the Four Nations, though. I did feel like he made some good plays defensively. He was trying to get it done, man. He
Probably
had some
should have sat in the
chances.
middle there and covered.
Yeah, okay.
It's a complex situation, and people could be like, he's got to go to the corner for Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner was the most low risk guy going at that point.
Yeah.
You gotta cover the slot no matter what. You got to read the play, but it's
I
all
know.
good. Hey, Rob Ray gets smoked in the face again.
God. Did you hear him yell "fuck"?
Yeah. Did you see his outfit? He's got this like little
Sweater.
sweater. He doesn't give a fuck. I love it. Razor, we love you, baby. Check out the old episode we got him on. He was great.
Not that old. It was just from this last episode.
Yeah, our last one.
Yeah.
Last one, yeah.
He's great.
He doesn't get cut open much. Like, God, I see him get corked too, you know?
Right in the eye.
But that puck, dude, he just ate that
Oh,
thing.
fuck.
Rob Ray's the toughest guy in that organization.
Oh, for sure.
He's just the toughest guy in that whole organization. Players to everything. And he will till he's 80 years old. And even then, he'll probably still be the toughest guy in that organization. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's one of the toughest guys to play in the NHL.
Well, when you're 80 years old, you're still...
Oh, when he's 80?
80! You're kind of...
You think he'll still be the toughest when he's 80?
Yeah, I do. Just have that persona. Like, no one will ever, like... You're never going to look another guy in that organization tough.
Mm-hmm.
Even close to him.
Yeah.
Just,
and
you know.
And getting back to the Tkachuks real quick, because I don't want people to think we're just being homers here. Listen, if Quinn Hughes would have played and Jack Hughes would have played and they played the same game and they were like running around just causing chaos, I'd say the same thing. You got to find a way to get the Hughes brothers.
You're not being a homer, dude.
If they were both forwards and they played on the same line
Jack
together.
Hughes.
Like, you can't control these two guys. The way they just love the game so much. They're so invested in the game. They care so much about the game, and they just love playing with each other. You knew this was going to happen. And this was going to be the storyline. Those two guys did more for USA Hockey in a week than really anything I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, but I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know they were going to fire out the bat.
No, but you knew that they're going
to do
they
something.
should play together. We talked about that.
Yeah.
You were saying put JT Miller between them.
Yeah.
You know, but
he got hurt last night, I think. His wrist. You didn't see that play?
No.
He went off the ice. I don't know. He played in the end of the game. He scored a game. He scored a empty netter. Empty netter, baby. Ryan Suter, 1,500 games. Is he still getting paid by 3 teams?
Oh, yeah.
He's a cool cat, man. I like him a lot.
He is.
His family's cool. Andy was interviewing his mom and stuff last night. It's hilarious.
We didn't bring her on camera, but I talked to her for a while.
Yeah.
And, Becky, man, she's cool as shit.
Yeah.
And the mom, Diane, Bob's widow.
Yeah, Bob's widow. And, the kids come in the locker room and they read
read
the starting lineup. Really cool.
Yeah.
Little shout out,
1,500 games.
500. He's still in a consecutive 500 games. How does that happen?
Yeah.
You got to get lucky, man.
He plays hard.
Dude, we get hurt in alumni games, man. A puck could just like hit your finger and explode. Look what happened to you, dude. He'd play through that though.
I did.
No, he would.
No, I did too.
Oh, you did? You played the next game?
No.
No, wait. You played the next game?
No, I was out.
Andy
for
went
a few
straight to the
weeks.
hospital and he's texting me left and right. Oh, I could only imagine what his phone looked like after that.
I stayed in the game.
You didn't know.
My finger was
The puck doesn't go to your stick. You couldn't even. You were like, damn, it hurts a little bit. But you didn't. You never
No.
touched the puck enough to
Can
really understand how
Can
bad
I-
your finger
no,
was.
Can I say this with all seriousness? It's the most pain I've ever had. It was making me want to throw up.
You would never make it in the league.
My fingernail just completely shattered, dude.
You would never make it in the league.
You
That's
just-
the most pain you ever had.
Dude,
Good. Hey, tip of the cap to that. Good for you, man.
No, it was
Good for you. No.
It
Tip of the
was
cap
up
to that.
there. It was up there, dude. Anybody who's ever like had their
Broken
finger
finger?
smashed by like a hammer,
Who hasn't?
a lot of people.
Who hasn't? Most people have. If that's the most pain you've ever conducted and you're about to pass out and puke, you're doing pretty good.
Really?
You're doing pretty good, I would say. You know what I mean? That's what I would say.
You know, Cam.
You know what? The Eagles decided not to go to the White House. Ooh, you got them.
Did they really?
Yeah.
See, now
you know how I said it about the goalie for Boston, what's his name, who didn't want to go see Obama, and I'm like, come on, didn't you make it all about you? But the whole team, I'm sure there's a lot of guys on that team that did want to go, but of course the owner, I think, didn't want to, so it's like, oh, cool, just stupid. It's all good.
you know, I hate hearing that because that's when shit's gonna.
That's how you
this is
divide.
how you're gonna divide again.
I don't like Joe Biden. I would have gone and seen him.
I just hope Trump doesn't go crazy about it. Like, just
he's gonna chirp it.
let
Rightfully
it,
so.
let
Like,
it go.
okay, beat it or whatever.
Let it
But
go.
I'd go see Joe Biden and I'd be like, hey, what's Hunter up to? I'm going to party with that cat. What is he doing? Let's go. You know, are you looking at your phone?
I'm looking for a picture of my finger. I can show you.
No, I don't care about that. And no one else does
No,
either.
they got to see how bad.
No one else
thing
cares.
was.
You know what I mean?
First shift of the game, and I just
Ryan Suter goes
fight through it.
just like a bunch of other guys did it too, and like it's mind-boggling how you can play hockey and go through so many games as a defenseman, playing minutes after minutes and or penalty kill, and you're blocking shots, and you never get injured enough not to play a game. And if you ask Ryan Suter, what he says is all mental, and I agree in a way until it's not. You break your tibula like Steven Stamkos when he runs into the post. You think he's like, I'm going to be mentally tough and ride this thing out. Alexander Ovechkin, by the way, who's about to break the record, who's scoring left and right, he broke his leg earlier in this year. Sometimes you forget.
Did you hear Elvis
Merzlikins?
What he said? Like the goalpost went up
Up
like,
his ass.
Up his ass.
Yeah.
And it was
He's
cold.
cold. Yeah. He's cool. I like him.
These are from True Float too. That's
Yeah.
what I was telling people when I took a drink there. It's from True Float. They make these too. What do you think of Yeti in comparison to this?
Bunch of nerds. These guys are way cooler, by the way. We're going to do this right here. Check these guys out. Check them out. They make all kinds of stuff. We got the cooler right here. I can't wait to get on the water. I can't wait to go down Lake of the Ozarks. The weather's getting better. I'm going to pack this sumbitch up. They can make a custom top. By the way, look at the camera strick on the top. Show the camera, Andy. When we help you lift it? When we help you? Are you good? Your shoulders? Okay. Look at that thing, man. That thing can fall out of your pickup truck going 95 miles an hour. Nothing will happen. Look at that bad boy. It's got different sections in that. Oh, God. You need help? Look, his shoulders are burning right now. So it's got all kinds of different sections in there. You can take out, you can put food, beer, whatever the hell you want in those bad boys. Yeah. They are cooler than Yeti.
And look how easy it carries. Look at that.
Look at that bad boy. True Float right there, custom made. Yeah, baby. Let's go.
And they make these too. They can put these on like their cups and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could get any sort of custom design you want right there.
That's a can soft coolie. That's what they call that. That's a can soft coolie.
Yetis for the softies, I'll tell you that right now. All the shit kickers. They don't use
Dude,
Yeti.
they've got the hard coolers, 20 quart, 45 quart. They got the wheeled coolers, which are sick.
Yeah,
the
roll those bad boys out.
rubbered wheels. Dude, they've got these heated chairs. They sent us the heated chairs.
Yep.
We showed those a few weeks ago. We didn't take it out of the bag, though. But it has, like, the battery that you charge it in.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be taking that to soccer games and stuff like that.
Yes.
Sitting out by the fire.
It'll be a little chilly, dude.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sitting out by the fire, turn the little heated chair on, and you're just comfortable.
Yep.
So, dude, this is like a legit company. True Float. TRUFLOAT. Check them out on Instagram and all the social media channels, too, man. So they got all the accessories. But the best part is they'll put your, for like a small cost extra, they'll put your company name on there and the logo on. They can do any logo.
It doesn't take
matter
long
what
at
it
all.
is. Any logo.
Good old Alberta boys.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They like their
shout out.
Oilers, man.
Yeah, they do. But they can make any design.
Give Jordan a shout out.
Jordan, what up,
everybody.
baby? Love you. Let's go. Summertime's coming. Springtime's coming. I can't wait.
Get a cooler, man. And get some of these koozies and get the heated chairs, get everything. And show us what you get, man. And if you want a Cam and Strick one, dude, they'll make you a Cam and Strick one too. So if you want, and because they're cool, man. If you want a Cam and Strick cooler or a Cam and Strick cup, dude, order one, and they'll send you a Cam and Strick one also.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool right there. Good old Alberta boys.
Hey, I got the hat here from Tie Dam Blades because they hooked up Ty with some steel.
Hell yeah, man.
And they do steel precision profile. You ever had your skates profile?
No, Andy, never done it.
And sharpening and all that. So if you're in the Toronto area, check out Tyler. Check him out on Instagram too. A lot of NHL stars use him also.
Cool. Cool.
What were you talking about on the radio last night? You said you.
Oh God. So Bruce Affleck, I guess, was listening to the radio broadcast, and we're talking about Nathan Walker's reverse hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and Bruce Affleck texted Chris Kerber and goes, Cam did that to me during an alumni game one time. So Bruce was really old one time. We're playing an alumni. He was still going out there, no shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
And we run into each other so hard. And it was like this, kabam! And I don't think he's ever skated ever since. And so he said that I did that to him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, that was horrible. If that happens to anybody else, Chaser to Losey or whatever, who cares? But him, he was older, like it fucked him up. But then he goes, what about when Bobby Plager hit Andy in the alumni game, and I go, "Oh my god!" And then Chaser hits
That's
Andy,
a badge of
and then
honor.
I hit Andy. Andy's been through the ringer with the boys, so we pumped that up
Yeah, good.
on the radio broadcast last night because that was on Fox Sports back in early 2000s.
Yeah, no, it was
When Bobby
a
hit
it was a UHL All-Star game, and I was working in the UHL at the time. So
Bobby Pleger got you so bad. It was perfect.
it was.
Andy has no. I told this story. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say it again. Andy's out there. He's like the only media guy out there, and has no shoulder pads on because he thinks he's Chaser. And he
no,
goes.
I had shoulder pads
No, you
on.
didn't.
Then. Oh, for
And
that I did.
No, whatever. It didn't look like he did. And he goes down and he has a puck in his skates. Like, what do I do? And Bobby hits him with just a perfect
Timing.
hip
man.
check, and Andy just goes, bam. And he goes, "What's going on here?" And Bobby looks and steps over you. It was the coolest thing. They kept playing on the
Yeah,
and he
they
goes,
played it on the jumbotron. Like
He goes, "You know why he did it? Because
he's a media guy. I know, but we had some laughs about that.
That was awesome. Anyway, we talked about that last night.
And it
No big
was
deal.
they put it on the they had a segment on the jumbotron at the Blues games called the Casino Queen Biggest Hits.
Yeah.
It was sponsored by the Casino Queen.
Yeah.
And they'd always play the biggest hits around the NHL, and they kept putting that hit in there.
Well, the reason why I got brought up because Nathan Walker, God, he reverse hit somebody.
Yeah.
I think it was Girardi.
No,
So-
it was Drury.
It was Drury. Yeah, Drury.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, all you parents out there, man, that like, you're not gonna get you could reverse hit guys so hard,
Mhm.
and it could be devastating, and they will not call a penalty on it
No.
because you had the puck. Meaning, you have the puck at the blue line or red line, and you're dumping it, and you know that D is gonna hit you. Now it's a 50-50 battle, although you're standing still. But usually those guys don't even know that you're gonna do that, and you could really hurt guys. And fucking Walker, God, he crushed him last night. The
Mhm.
helmet went off literally like 40 feet into the corner. It was good.
So, and Walker, like he's closing in on 200
Yeah,
hits.
he's
like leading the team in.
11 minutes of ice, and he's lot of hits,
he's
man.
leading the team in fighting majors now with
Yeah.
4. I think he's tied for the team lead. Do you know he makes $775? Matthew Joseph makes $2.95.
I know. He's got one more year left of that. He just started getting his one-way deal.
He makes $775, and Texier makes over $2 million.
He's been sick for 10 days.
I talked to him about that.
God.
But it's going around.
What? Oh, really? I wanted to see my dad. I'm going out of town. I'm going to be busy for the next week and a half, and I want to see him. And I worry about him, man. Like, he's got to get fucking reconstructive knee surgery now. Meaning he's going to be held up, can't fucking do anything
he
on that.
is?
Yeah. It's like one thing after another. And when your parents get old, and we all go through this shit happens. He's 71. You want them to be happy enough to want to enjoy life enough to
Mhm.
stay alive, right? If he's always going and he's had all kinds of different things, like, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I just want him to get this goddamn knee surgery done.
Mhm.
He's got everything
He
else
needs
done.
to have it.
Andy, it's crunching. He can't walk. So he's got to get that done. He's going to be up for a little bit. I'm going to have to take care of him, but I want him to be happy.
Yeah, so he can.
So fucking he wants
Yeah.
to live, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I can't see him today because he's in the hospital. And they took him, and I got to do this. And I
When's
gotta
the surgery?
do, right now?
Today.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I leave.
That's why you're a little distracted this
I
morning.
know, man. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And so I just, and then my poor dad, I want him to be happy enough to walk the dog. That's all he wants to do.
Mhm.
Be able to fucking walk around and get shit done, you know? So you guys know when your parents get older, man, it is what it is. I always keep it real with all y'all. You know, it bugs you. You know, if they're miserable, it affects everybody,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Ivy's had the flu. She
That's
was out all last
bad,
week.
like bad.
No, like not like throwing up and stuff like that, but like
She'll get-
she had a fever for a few days and coughing. You know, a lot of it's turning into pneumonia too.
Walking pneumonia.
Yeah, she had flu A. You know what flu A is?
Mm-mm.
Influenza A.
Does she get the vaccine? Do
My
they do it at
wife said that the
school?
nurse who tested her for the flu was like celebrating when she got positive for A. She's like, flu A, flu A, flu A.
Calm
You've-"
down.
She's like, yay, you got flu A. I mean, like celebrating it. It was like
Jesus.
devastating news.
Why is it that? So what? Why would she do that?
I don't know.
Is there flu B that's way worse?
There's a B. But I don't know if the B is worse.
I must have had the B.
And, you know, my kids all had this flu shot. I always told you it's a
That's
scam.
why. That's why I said they get to that. The flu
Oh,
shot.
yeah.
Vaccine. Whatever.
Told you it's a scam.
I don't get it. I never got it when we played either. They'd come in our locker room and be like, "Hey, who wants this?" I'm like,
Does
I'm good.
Fauci have anything to do with the flu shot?
I don't think so. He had
Very influential.
What? Shut up. That might get him. You know.
You think he'll get pardoned?
He already did get pardoned.
Oh yeah, he did.
Jeez Louise.
He did.
Why?
He got pardoned.
You didn't do anything wrong, did you,
Was
Fauci?
he charged?
No.
So how do you get pardoned if you don't have any criminal conviction?
Funny how that is.
Wait a minute. Isn't it amazing how I just formulate the...
You know, funny how that is.
So you can be pardoned without ever...
Well, they knew Trump was going to go after him. Well, he shut down the world. You know, he shut down the world.
So by shutting down the U.S., you essentially shut down
you
the
shut
world.
Down, well, you know, the gain of function. Do you think that you think COVID came from the wet lab in Wuhan? You think? Do you think so?
The wet lab?
The wet lab?
The wet lab?
The fucking wet market in Wuhan?
Oh my God.
No, it came from the lab that we funded.
Of course it did.
And we didn't, you know.
Firstform,
You know what I'm talking
firstform.com, Cam.
I got those vitamins and all that.
You need some of that.
But
man.
no, and the tea, the magnesium, all that stuff, especially when you're sick, like they have so many different things that you could take just to fucking stay right, you know?
Yeah. See, when you eat healthy, you eat clean like
you don't
me.
eat, man. You don't eat.
You just stay...
I haven't eaten that much, but Kate and I eat very healthy.
Get clean.
We eat very healthy.
Eat clean.
Until my mind's right and I go to god dang McDonald's.
Oh, God.
Why do I like McDonald's more than anything? Culver's, I don't know why. I'll eat 5 fucking cheeseburgers.
Do you know I haven't had a McDonald's cheeseburger in 27
They're cheap.
years?
Maddie, aren't they cheap? Do you ever go to McDonald's? They're like $1 whatever for a cheeseburger. You get 3 of those bad boys.
I think...
Oh, it's God. I know that's like a cliche answer, McDonald's. I don't know why. I love their goddamn cheeseburgers.
I think it's been 23 years.
Since you ate one? Oh, God.
Or no. Yeah, 27, almost 30 years.
Well, what about like, would you go to Joe Bacardi's and eat pizza?
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I?
Because you don't eat anything.
Well, I'd go there and eat pizza.
Really?
Joe Bacardi's?
What if it has like sausage, bacon?
Sure. It's not my favorite kind of pizza, though.
I know. It's all good.
We
don't need to go through this again. Andy doesn't eat. It is what it is.
I like cheese pizza.
You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blue Note Roofing, man. Call him today, 314-920-5713. David Novak.
It's our boy.
Talk hockey with you and hook you up with your new roof, which is so important. Brings your cost, your energy, and your bills down, too, Cam, when you have new gutters and siding and soffit and fascia.
And you know that hail's coming. And so you talk to your insurance company.
Blue Note Roofing.
And have David Novak hook you up.
Illinois Recovery Center, Cam.
Man, that was a night. So the last 2 times I was supposed to go there, we had weather. And Chrissy's like, dude. And I'm like, damn, 2 days in a row. And then I was going to go Friday. And I had to call Chrissy and be like, dude, I'm rocked, man. So that was right after the game that night where I did my thing and poor Kate had to clean everything up. And I was like, oh. And so I had to cancel on Chrissy. Mm-hmm. But just right over there in Swansea, Illinois, I'm telling you right now, they are the real deal. And we talked to so many different people about it. And if I go in there and you talk to there's all kinds of fentanyl to, there's still meth going around, alcohol to, you name it. They got people there that have been affected by that. They're right there in Swansea, Illinois. Chrissy, Jacob, Eric Conley, we love you guys. You know, email them or us and get a hold of them, and they will take care of you. They're the real deal. Comfy beds, and man, oh man, they really care.
Call me and I'll get you in touch with everybody.
And he'll hook you up. Well, you will. Just give him Chrissy's number.
I will.
You know, it's easy.
What else would I do? That's what I would do. Give him Chrissy's number, Eric's number, whatever else you need.
Yep.
Hat launch and hatlaunch.com, babe. We're going out there Friday. Looking forward to it.
Right here. What's up? I wanted that hat.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll make you one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get hooked up. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I need some new ones.
Mm-hmm.
I wear hats all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. That's probably what they say when you wear hats all the time, you lose your hair.
I already did. Now I do wear hats.
Is that why you lost your hair?
No, I never. When I went to the bar and stuff like that, when I had hair, I never wore a hat.
Really?
Yeah.
But you bleached your hair, so that may
that was in juniors.
That may have had something to do with it. Too.
Hell yeah, it did, Andy.
Yeah, I think it did.
I think
you lost a lot of your hair.
No, I think it's hereditary.
Is your dad?
No.
Is your mom's dad?
Yes.
Okay, well that's.
And my dad's dad.
Okay, well now I'm getting to the.
But my dad wasn't. You know.
Hat Launch, man, get yourself a hat. It's kind of like True Float because they can put your logo on anything. Same thing with Hat Launch.
Yeah.
You put your logo, create your own hats, customize your own hats. America's #1 source for customized hats. They do hoodies, they do T-shirts. They're the best, dude. Honestly. I've had some people go to them. They keep going back to them for more stuff, too. It's the way it works, man. Cam at Bellman, you get now.
Swinging dicks, baby. Troy, Missouri.
Mm.
I tell you what, you would love to have a badass truck during all this crap weather we've had.
Yeah.
Like, you just feel safe in one of those, man.
Yeah.
I saw a couple Denali's on the way
Did
here.
you?
They're just sharp. Black rims,
Oh, my
all
God.
blacked out.
Blacked out.
Tinted windows.
Mhm.
Like, if you have a car, I drive Kate's car, and the tinted, she shouldn't have tinted windows,
Mhm.
and you feel it. And everybody's looking at you. I love having tinted windows, man. No one could see it. Like, no one's
Do you
looking.
have those in your truck?
Oh, God, yeah.
Do you?
5%.
5%.
Yeah.
I wonder what mine are.
Yours are dark.
Yeah.
I could see your silhouette pretty good in the front, but the
Mhm.
back ones are real dark.
Yeah.
But you could tell the difference. Kate's aren't that dark at all. I got
So what's the rule? They got to be
5, I think.
visible on the front, but not in the back.
I don't know. It saves you. It saves you fucking the AC. Like, it's so much
Yeah.
hotter in Kate's car.
Oh, I bet.
It's so much hot when we're driving. Like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah, I know. I bet.
She's got a woman's car, which
yeah.
is fine. Like, I can't fit.
Oh
in the
yeah,
damn
I
thing.
bet. Mhm.
Andy,
Buick GMC on one
I'll
side of
take a
the
Buick.
street.
I'll take a Buick.
Chrysler Dodge Jeep where I am on the other side. It's
I'll take those Dodge Rams.
say
too.
hi to Danny boy.
Danny, what up? Dale, Kenny.
Get back to work, Kenny.
God damn it, Kenny, get back
Oh.
to work.
Can I get a mask? Maddie, if you have one.
If you get what
I
I get,
am starting to
if Andy gets what I get, his whole body will explode.
Mike Richter, man.
He was great.
Loved conversation. I loved our conversation. See, now I'm just like
You're gonna get, You're gonna get.
loved our conversation with Mike Richter, man. American icon, legend. And you know what? 1996
Awesome guy.
World Cup team, still number one. This team had a chance to overtake him.
Yeah.
They were saying the most talented American team ever, but I couldn't even
No.
give them that distinction without Quinn Hughes on it. You put Quinn Hughes on there, maybe we could have that conversation.
There's
Go-
a couple changes.
Go look at the roster in 1996.
Andy.
Go look at the roster.
It's loaded. Andy, there's a
That
couple.
is the best team
There's
ever.
a couple changes they're gonna make. Tage is sitting back doing his thing. He's scored another nice goal the other night.
I know.
There's a couple changes they're gonna make with that USA team.
Yes, they are.
Mike Richter, what's up, baby? Let's go.
Okay. There's a couple changes they won't make either. That they'll leave
Mhm.
alone, untouched.
No doubt.
Mike Richter, baby, joins us on the Cam and Strick podcast. The Cam and Strick podcast is brought to you by First Form, baby. Use our link and do it today. www.firstform.com/Cam and Strick.
Get jacked now. They are the real deal.
Get that protein, check out the apparel, eat those bars, and drink those energy drinks. Firstform.com/Cam and Strick.
Yeah.
Now on to the interview.
Who does he look like? Clark Kent?
Clark Kent.
Yeah,
maybe.
Superman.
Are you Superman?
I'll take that. I think
Where are you at right now? We
He's-
just hit record, by the
He's
way.
in the office. He's in the office.
I'm in the office getting shit done.
Like what? Like, what do you got going today?
I just finished lunch. There's one.
Okay.
I
You got a
actually
board meeting?
very boring meetings, lots of them. No, I I'm the president of a small energy efficiency company, so gotta tell you, there's always something going on.
Listen, first off, I said board meeting. It would never be boring.
No, you're
okay?
too smart for that.
And number two, will you stop calling it a small little business? I've heard you say that in other interviews too. Give yourself credit. I mean, you're a great goaltender. You had a long hockey career, and you're an exxive of
Saving
an
the planet.
energy business.
Yeah,
Yeah, healthy
you guys
planet,
have
the
heard
whole
of
9 yards.
SpaceX. We're just a little bigger than that.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. So what do you? So like, what is that? Like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis with the company?
Well, I'll start. The company goes into existing buildings and new buildings and makes them more energy efficient. You know, it's like putting a carburetor in your car that gets you 100 miles to a gallon instead of 40 miles to a gallon, right? So the whole idea is just to use an existing technology to make it better. That becomes difficult when there's an existing building because there's, if you're retrofitting something, from your house and everything else, and I have done it to my house, it's really involved. I'm not an engineer. We have a lot on staff. You have to go in there and make sure these things work. And in the beginning, it was lights. So everybody knows LEDs and solar. Everybody knows kind of commoditized stuff. But now we're doing geothermal HVAC systems. And, that's not it's 5 degrees out, last night or whatever it was here in the East. That's not a luxury. You have to have it, and you have to have it right, and you have to have it put in properly. So we're doing some pretty cool, complex projects. I'm mostly in sales. Really good people go in there and evaluate these things and see, what the price tag is, and it all comes down. We're selling efficiency, but really selling savings. So if you save money, great. If you don't, probably not a discussion to be had,
Is this commercial or residential? What is
Good
all
question.
commercial?
Yeah. And they're really, it sounds all the same because the technology is very similar, but the scale makes it a difference of kind. I mean, it really is different. A commercial solar business can be anything from a utility scale to, a major building, whereas residential is a totally different sale. And we find the same thing when it comes to geothermal. These are not little projects. They are, tens of millions of dollars and could be years to do. So you better get it right.
Who's the smartest player you ever played with?
Smartest player. That's a heck of a question because there is that intelligence, the athletic intelligence, and guys like Brian Leach. Someone once described him as a Wayne Gretzky looking through the lens of a defenseman. He reads the play. He knows where everybody is. Glenn Healy was a great goalie because he knew just spatially where everybody was. Two guys are in the corner. Okay, that means they only have three. Well, man them. So if my rebound goes far, we're gonna have an odd man rush. Shesterkin has been described as that too. So they're together out in the ice for sure. But as an athletic kind of brain, Leachy anticipated plays. I remember watching him a few times. Like, why is he jumping up in the play there? And then he scores a game-winning goal. I'm like, that's why. He anticipated where people were going so well, and every position would benefit from that. But I think you see it in a guy like Wayne or Brian, who are slightly undersized for the time, and you see it in Quinn Hughes and whatnot. How do these guys survive, let alone thrive? It's because they read the damn play so well.
Yeah. Gretzky, it's interesting because you knew how great he was and you had played against him in international tournaments and whatnot.
Yep.
But when he got to New York,
So true.
what were you like, okay, I need to see what this guy's all about. What's he doing on a day-to-day basis? And then watching him in practice, were you like, were you blown away, or what were your thoughts, honestly, playing with this guy?
You hit the nail on the head because you hear that people say that all the time. Hey, man, I played against Jack Eichel and I knew he was great. And then he comes to Vegas and I practice with him every day. And then you start seeing, holy smokes, he's not fast some of the time. The guy is a rocket ship, how he handles the stick, how he approaches the game. For Wayne, the thing that overwhelmed me was he came to us around, 36, 37 years old, and he had maybe more energy and more love for the game than a lot of 18-year-olds coming in. Like, this dude had every record in the book. You knew he's already Hall of Fame, and he was still our leading scorer on a New York team that wasn't particularly great after 97. And he found ways of carving out, that kind of magic that a little kid has when they first start playing. And this was a grizzled veteran. And so, there was a deep kind of resource of energy that he had in there that got him up in the morning and said, I want to score the next goal. And that's a rare thing, to have that skill and that discipline and that fire every time you put in your skates. And Wayne definitely had that, but just his ability to read, you knew it was great, but you just watching what he does in practice on some, mid-February, nothing practice in the middle of the season. He's still eyes in the back of the head, connecting passes that you're like, oh man. So I think the great players have levels. If it's a Mike Jordan or something like that, and you're traded to that team, you start to understand their greatness a hell of a lot more day to day.
Yeah. So isn't it weird though? Like, you talk about how great he is and how much he loved the game, but he's not a workout freak.
No.
He's not after practice doing his stretches. He's eating meat and potatoes. He's going out. He's having beers with the guys.
Yep.
I mean, you look at these guys now, man. They just go and it's hockey. It's health. I mean, could you imagine if he was like that?
He's eating ice cream.
He's eating ice cream. He's yelling at Keenan to get ice cream in here.
It's so true. Yeah, we had, there were so many more characters when we played, and they all had their own idiosyncrasies, but it wasn't necessarily like the perfect training table or regime. And in some ways you go, holy crap, that dude's, running on junk food to a degree, and how much better could he be? And you do see the guys now, man, they are dialed in. I've got two boys. I got three boys. Two of them play, and they're working out the same place Chris Kreider works out. Like, their weight regime, their off-season training, their nutrition, understanding hydration. There's no margin anymore. Before, you could kind of like, hey, I think I got this like edge on I don't know, my training or something like that. And I always felt I did as a younger guy. I grew up in Philly, so I could work out harder than, some of my peers that I figured I'd be competing against up in Montreal or something. We're all got internet and we all know what works, but then you have to have the discipline to do it. And you see like the Connor McDaves one. I sat with Billy Guerin and Johnny Van Beesbrook watching that last U.S. game prior to the Saturday big one. And he just said, these guys get a bit of a bad rap, they're not dedicated or whatnot to younger generations. So these guys are so dialed in. They have a protein shake, they go to bed, they get ready for a big workout the next day. I mean, they're professional, and it shows. The product on the ice is crazy. I mean, oh my God, they're so good.
Fast.
So good.
It's damn good.
I mean, you're watching these games right now. Who would win, honestly, between the 1996 team and this team? And when we're taping this, we don't even know who's going to end up winning the tournament yet, because the game's coming up on Saturday. So in order for this particular team to be considered better than your 96 team, they're going to have to win it all. But still, like when you watch them play and then your team, I feel like everyone's saying this is the best team ever, and it very well may be, but in a way, you're almost discrediting how great that team was in 96 with all the Hall of Famers on it.
Well, Leachy again had been, I guess, a lot of people used him and Bobby Orr in the same breath. He goes, I'm not Bobby Orr. Bobby Orr was amazing. And yeah, sure, the skating when Bobby started was different than when Brian started, and it's different when Quinn Hughes is playing now, right? So he said it's unfair to be comparing these different eras. If Wayne Gretzky was the best player of his era, then he would probably he'd find a way to be the best player of the era now.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at somebody like Connor McDavid, I mean, how the 700 players or whatever it is in the NHL right now, the worst player in that league is a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of strength, skill, mental toughness, ability to just execute out in the ice. And he's got 5 strides on these guys. Like, that's one thing you can always say is, what is the gap between the top player team and the next one? And that sometimes is an indicator how good they be, of all time. I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know if it's fair to either team.
Yeah.
Because what this team's playing against, both sides, Canada, US, they're so bloody good. The speed of the game is faster than ever, but the ability to make decisions and execute on those decisions. I was just watching the Canada Finns, and they can create out of nothing. There's no time, there's no space, there's somebody right on you. Even when you have a power play, there's not much time. I know you have 5, they have 4, but they can cover the ice in a way that you couldn't when Wayne Gretzky came in the league. These guys get across the ice so damn fast, and you probably see that in all sports, right? But I just think the speed of our game being on ice like that, the decisions have to come so rapidly that everybody has to have an understanding of the game, because everybody can move out there.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Okay, we know the forwards and the D, they're quicker, they're bigger, they're stronger. What about the goalies? Besides the equipment, like what do you see in Connor Hellebuyck that maybe you look at and you're like, whoa, I could have done that. I could have had that style. What's the difference?
Then it's all about shutting down options. Okay, so Dominic Hassan was great at poke checking. He would take the bottom of the net down. So if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to be coming in full speed. I'm coming at you full speed. I'm lying down and poke checking you. You've got the width of a puck under the crossbar to get it in before I mow you down. Take your feet out. And so he took away options quickly. Like John Davison always said that. Like, he looks like he's swimming out there. He is not. There's a method to his madness. He's taking away options. Could be the short side. Now you got to go long side, but he's leaning there. Curtis Joseph, same way, a little bit of a lean. Marty Brodeur, was somewhere in between a Patrick Waugh and a stand-up guy, and he did that his whole career. But the same fundamental thing happened was, all right, Marty takes away the 5-hole well. Oh, crap, he's got a good glove hand. I'm going to go blocker, but he's hedging to that side. But you have to do this so much faster now. And yeah, a guy like Connor Hellebuyck's a hell of a lot bigger than me, and he takes up more net than most guys because he is just giant. But think about this. Everybody's got these composite sticks, which, they had when I left, but the shot-making abilities now and the quickness of the release and the quickness of the speed and the strength of the guys in front, I'm not sure who has the advantage anymore, right? Sure, if you look 30 years ago, there's a lot more net for the goalies than you see a Connor Hellebuyck. But the guys, Bobby Hull was playing with a straight stick. You just can't do the same things with a composite banana hook, and that they do nowadays. So, yeah, if you give somebody an inch now, they'll take it. And I mean, the 3rd, 4th line guy will take it. So it's not just 3 or 4 guys on the team. So I don't know. I think the game has changed, but just you're still trying to do the same thing in each position, respectively. but you got to do it so much more fast and so much more accurately.
What about the puck handling with goaltenders? Because everyone can handle the puck now. Now, there's certain guys that are better than others, and you look at Jordan Binnington, this guy's unbelievable in terms of how
Yeah.
he handles the puck and his exchanges with his D and how quickly they're
Yeah.
able to transition up the ice because of his puck play.
Yep.
When did that really become an art for goaltenders? You mentioned Marty, and he was a guy who could do that. I'm
Yep.
curious what you thought of your own, puck handling. Were you a guy that just wanted to stay in the crease, like you weren't going to mess around? And
I think if I was better puck handler, Leachy would still be playing. Poor guy. No, but it's a huge help to the defense. And someone like Marty, you could actually have a system around him.
Mhm.
But the difference between then, that was a nice novel. Oh, we're playing against Marty even was a Puckwell or Ron Hextall or, way back Eddie Jockman, an old Ranger goalie. Now, it's rare that somebody doesn't have at least some level of competence moving the puck. And then it becomes a deficit. Before it was a bonus. Everybody does it. If you see someone that truly doesn't touch the puck much, it's a big difference. You can start to design plays around that gap that they have defending. And someone like Bennington, he moves the puck so well. Shesterkin in New York, like from the moment he came there, that was just part of his repertoire. He'll go out and he's making tape-to-tape passes, and you see it. And sometimes really critical times, you're hemming them in the zone in a 1-goal game, and you have a power play. They finally rip it down the ice. They're getting off, and he skates out there and does a two-zone pass, and they're coming right back at you. A regular guy setting that up, you lose 30 seconds. So it's a necessity now.
You like the trapezoid?
I guess you don't want it to be boring where you're dumping and stumping out. I mean, you want flow to this game, and I am definitely supportive of anything that get the refs out of the game, allow just the natural flow to happen. I watch a lot of college hockey because 2 of my boys are playing, and they're always pushing somebody out of the circle. And I think, the refs they insert themselves in the game, and it starts to slow it down. When those games go, like the other day, they just let players play. The speed, the grace, the flow that you get going. Canada's playing 4 lines, boom, 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 one after another. That's entertainment. It's awesome.
What about the goalie interference? I feel like we see. I can't even. I'm doing radio for the Blues. Andy's doing TV, and sometimes we have to give our opinion on what the call is going to be, and we're like, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, what's your take on that whole situation?
I think the pendulum switches back and forth a little bit, right? Like on one hand, you don't want somebody getting smoked in there, and you're vulnerable as a goalie. You're down looking, and I mean, if a goalie's playing great, and you're in a championship game, and you bury your head and kind of say, "Well, I got pushed in," but you take them out. You might get 5 minutes. You might be chucked out of the game, but if Marty Brodeur was just chucked out, you might have won that exchange. If you're a 4th line guy. So yeah, you got to protect the goalie. It just needs to be explicit and then consistent, because sometimes someone gets bumped and boo, the goalie's dead and puck's called off. I think they've pulled back from every little crease violation was hellish. Goalies have to fight through this too, and sometimes you're outside the crease and yeah, the guy bumps into you, but that's kind of incidental contact, and I think they're getting better about those nuances. You skate through the crease, really? Is that a problem? I don't think so. And the ref's job, and I think they're getting better and better about this, keep guys from getting hurt, get out of the way. And that includes the goaltender. So that's all I think it's there for.
Are your boys goalies?
No, no, that's my advice. Like, you can do anything you want. No goaltenders. No, they're both left wings. And yeah, they, like I said, most of the kids at a young age could do things that we sure couldn't. Just they're stronger, they're faster, they're more professional at a younger age. I don't know if they're having as much fun as we did. We did have a good time. And, you think about that 96 team with Tkachuk and Guerin, those 2 guys made that locker room so tight. It feels like it's happened again. The guys are talking about that in that U.S. locker room. And certainly it seems like the Canadian team is too. But I can just tell you from the 4 walls of our locker room, you come in the middle of summer to play that World Cup, and it's just like everybody's all over the place. And from day one, it was like you'd known each other forever, and we had an absolute blast. And then you start playing for each other. You don't mind sacrificing for a guy you care for.
Yeah, it was different in 2004. I was around that team. Like I was there for 10-day training camp in Columbus, man. I don't know how locked in they were in 2004. It was much different in 96. But I'm curious, you're watching the game the other night, USA Canada. I mean, and there's real legit like pride on both sides, right? I mean, You hear what, Hagel said, listen, I'm not fighting for the cameras, I'm fighting for the flag, man. I love
Yeah.
that answer. The
Yeah.
American players obviously, talking about playing for their country. Did you get the same sense? And do you feel like the hatred was there in 96 against Canada and you were truly playing for the USA crest on the front of the jersey, much like what we think we're seeing right now?
Yeah, it feels authentic right now. It really does. And whether there's a fight in the first 2 minutes or not, there's an intensity throughout the game that, you know, suggests that these guys are playing for pride, for, bragging rights for the country. And we definitely had that in 96. And Canada does too. I mean, look, let's be clear. They are kind of the kings of hockey, and market shares can be taken away. There's more guys coming from Latvia, Russia, Europe, United States, and they've got a ton of pride, and they don't want to give up that mantle anytime soon. And that's what it was in '96. I mean, these are great players. Mess, Adam Graves, friends of ours. But when you're playing for a different team, it's no different than being traded. Your job is to go out there and win. If they're in your way, you go through them. And these guys aren't going away anytime soon. And there's as much pride in both locker rooms. And I think it's totally legit. I know we wanted to prove ourselves. We like, hey, we're not just individual players that can play in this league with Canadians. We have enough of a critical mass in America back in early 90s, standing on the shoulders of the 80 team and all those great teams that came before us, that we legitimately feel like it's not a miracle. We can go out there and beat them head to head. And that was a best of three, so it was a slightly longer tournament. But this is just like, boom, drop these guys in the ice. It's like wind up dolls. They just go, go, go. And everybody cares. And by the way, I was at that game on Monday. Finland doesn't roll over and die. 2 minutes ago, they popped 3 goals in. I mean, they're if Sid Crosby doesn't shoot that puck in the net, who knows what happens. So all these teams have that pride and they all care. I was watching Henrik Lundqvist being interviewed. Yeah, like it matters to them. Everybody's got national pride.
Hey, so when you do have a tournament like this, where you whether it's Olympics or something like this or the World Cup, like in the NHL, there's a pecking order from the superstars down to the fourth liners, from the top D to whatever. Yep. When you walk into a locker room, when it's all big boys everywhere, like, do people like, no, I'm sitting in the back of the bus. No, this is my spot. Like, is there some competitive, like, I'm more popular than you. I make more money than you. Like what? I got more points.
And
like,
especially when Holy's in the locker room.
When Holy's in the locker room, he's like, go fuck yourself. Like, how was that dynamic?
Yeah, Brett aside, no, I actually tons of respect. And I was watching that 3-on-3 in the first Canadian game on Wednesday night, and I'm like, there's guys sitting on the bench with 40 goals. Like, hey, coach, can I play? Everybody's world class. I mean, those 4 teams are so loaded with talent that, yeah, you better check your ego at the door. And I think Cooper was saying some good things like, look, we're just trying to get a team together. There's massive talent, but you got to get the puzzle pieces working. And it might mean that Mitch Marner's on the third line with guys he normally doesn't play with. Like, Connor McDavid's a pretty good player. You might have to cede a little bit of territory to him if you're the guy that's, competing for that spot with him. But if you do care for each other, you're going to say, all right, man, I'm not playing this game as a goalie. He is. I'm supporting him. Or I'm on the second or third pairing of defensemen where I'm usually the go-to guy in New York or wherever I am. But if that's going to make us win, short tournament, I'll check my ego at the door and I'll just play. And if you have that buy-in, and that comes down to the coaches and the type of players and the type of people that you have in the 4 walls, man, you got a really powerful thing, because you have that level of talent across the board, but there is always a pecking order. And I think just on the teams that I've been on, there's been a lot of respect for that, particularly with age and whatnot. When Chelly came back, he missed maybe our first game. Hey, man, he's the veteran, okay? But I think hockey kind of lends itself to that. It's about the team and the mission you're on, much more than, the name on the back of your jersey, right?
Yeah. I'll be curious to see how much McDavid plays on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, are they just going to keep throwing him out there and
they are.
How many? Yeah, and see what
Yes,
his
they
minutes.
are.
I know what my coach's strategy would be.
Yeah, see what his minutes look like. At the end of the game, even with all these great players that he's playing with. Hey, listen, losing the gold medal game in 2002.
Yep.
It's one of the most memorable games of my life. I just remember watching that game, and the Brodeur save on Brett Hall with his toe of his skate from the left circle. I just remember that, but you guys were so good for the most part in that tournament. Canada had struggled early in the tournament. Does that stay with you the way it would if you lost in the Stanley Cup final? Like, does that game stay with you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I wake up thinking about that. Like, there's no game that I lost that was ever my fault, according to me. No,
No,
that you
that
don't
wasn't.
that you there are regrets. I mean, there and you hear guys talking about this heading into this game. Like, this is a moment, and you want to take advantage of it. And that team was so good. We were older, a little getting long in the teeth,
Yeah.
and that's a lot. You finish your regular season, or you don't finish. You leave off the season, and you go right into the Olympics, and it's intense right from the start. There's no glide. I mean, you could be playing, a team like Latvia or something like that, and people are like, oh, it's a sleeper. It's not. You have a bad period, you got your, tail in the ringer. So you really have to come loaded for bear every game, up and down the lineup. And I think, we played the Russians twice, and they were a little tired coming into that game. And man, you could watch the Canadians stutter in the beginning, right the ship, and then play their best hockey on that final game, which is what champions do. But yeah, I for a long time, just you lose the gold medal game to get the silver. Silver's a great thing, and in the long run, it's a great accomplishment and a great feeling. But you're playing against guys you can beat, and they can beat you, and you wanted it all to work out that day. So it was. I had a nephew who wanted to see my silver medal, and I could almost not even show it to him. He's like, "Isn't
Really?
this great?" I'm like, "Isn't this horrific?" But the reality is, yeah. I mean, you live for those moments, want to make the most of them, and that's why it feels so good when you do win, because it's not an easy place to get to.
Was that Pavel Bure breakaway? Not breakaway, but penalty shot.
Yeah.
The biggest moment of your career?
It in some ways, yeah. I mean, it's such a cool thing because back then there wasn't the shootouts after the practices, or sorry, after the games, after OT during the regular season. There was just less of them. You don't see them much, and I can't remember. There was a small number that had never even been called in the finals, and that was a pivotal moment of the game in the series. So these things, it gets momentum if you save it, you lose momentum if you miss it. A lot of pressure on him because it was in Vancouver at the time, and he was a scoring machine that year. So okay, he's got it. So it was a huge moment. But the reality is, there's a goalie, which makes you kind of nuts. But it's you have to be so dialed into the present moment. Let's just say you save that; it's the best save of your life. Great. You let the next goal in, it's sort of for naught. And so you have to, man, whether it's a save or a goal, you erase it, you refocus on the next chance against. And so I couldn't really enjoy it at the time. Super great, felt good. Got a face off in our zone, and a whole half of a game to play, and it worked out. And looking back, you can kind of savor it a little bit more. But they all count, right? Every goal that goes in, whether it's ugly or brilliant, is what you're trying to save. So you have to be careful of getting too up on even those great moments where you save something. Put it in your back pocket and look at it later.
Remind me, well, first off, I'm curious what you thought he was going to do, because
Yeah.
you made a great save, like what you're thinking in the moment. But what was the play that led to the penalty shot? Did he have a breakaway and get taken down?
Yeah, and Leachy was behind him, and I actually didn't think it was like Leachy was holding him, and it's a legit call. I didn't think it was like he wasn't in the midst of shooting, so calling penalty shots is more of an art than a science, I guess, right? So Terry Gregson said, penalty shot, and you're like, okay. In some ways, it's good because you have one moment, they don't tire out, it doesn't screw up your rotation on the bench. If you save it, of course. It's their one chance as opposed to 2-minute power play, and they had a very good power play because of him. He was at the end of a shift, so he was probably tired. You see him wiping his thing, asking questions. Like, he's trying to get his wind back. And, the one thing everybody knows about Pav, and he had that kind of Connor McDavid level speed. Like, he could just pull away from other people, and he was. And I think knowing his speed is the one thing, but he's also a great player. He's a great puck handler like Connor McDavid is now. And so he had beat me on straight up shots on breakaways. Deeks, he's tried a bunch of times. So, I guess I'd answer this the way, I felt at the time is you have to play him honestly. If you look at a great player like a Lemieux or Pav at the time or McDavid and say, he likes high glove, and you anticipate that, well, you're making yourself vulnerable. You're off your balance and everything else. he is going to go down. He'll read you. And if you're out too far, he's going to try to go around you. If you're way back in the net and he's seeing that, the kid can pick you apart. So I just said, come out, stop, come back with him and gain speed quickly because, he's coming with some. And I was able to stay with him and get my pad out on it. Trying to force him to deke. The downside of that is he has so much speed. If you don't match that speed, he's going around you and you're going to look silly. So, I got him that time, but he'd scored a lot in that series,
That was a freak save, though. I don't know. You're so acrobatic
Landed your
and
right
you
pad.
are so athletic. I don't know how you did that because he moves so quick. The way you got your right pad out was unbelievable. I got to ask you this because Andy and I are 90s kids.
Yeah.
We grew up watching hockey in the 90s in St. Louis, man. We know all the superstars. Who's a really skilled player that doesn't get enough credit, that every time he came down on you, you played a lot, you're like, oh boy, I'm in one.
Great question. I can tell you who it was for us. Alex Kovalev that year was kind of our black ace. Like we knew how good he was because we practiced with him every day, as we were saying. But I don't think the other teams knew quite what a game breaker he was. And you saw it in the Jersey series. Okay, what are you going to do when you're playing 94 Rangers? Mess. Gravy scored 54 that year. Leachy, Zubal from the back end.
Yeah.
Covey, kind of crazy, likes to do 360s. Who knows what he's going to come up with next? But you're kind of out of options. There's only so many guys you can marry on a given shift. And then there's Alex, and he's so strong and so capable. And the guy was a great playmaker and a great shooter. And strong as an ox. And so I think they almost didn't, in those first years, and he was so young back then, I don't think they understood. They didn't have a book on him. So he was a little bit of a kind of a quiet assassin for us. But guys like Adam Oates, who scored so many damn points in the league, he was a better shooter than people gave him credit for. Real small stick, and every once in a while he'd have that opportunity. You're like, oh my God, I was expecting a pass, and he read a play well. There's those guys that Vinny Danfus was a guy that played great for Canada, was unbelievable against us in I think it was 96 when we played against him in Montreal, and just huge skill level. And he could just, when he got hot, like, look out, the guy could handle the puck like no one else in the world, and
You stoned his ass though. There's a
There it is,
sequence that I
Andy.
saw this morning, man.
There it
He had
is,
like
Andy.
5 shot attempts
There it is.
right at the blue paint against you. It's just like bang, 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 bang.
but he had
You saved
scored. I
all
mean,
of them.
I had played against him in the playoffs, and he had taken us to the brink, him alone. He just kept scoring, and we ended up winning that series. But he was a force, man. And so, that's how teams win, is they have layered scoring, and you're going to shut down Bobby Orr for a little while, or Brian Leach, or Mark Messier, but who's the other guy that comes to the fore and then starts doing something special? And tonight, do you think U.S. is going to be looking out for Connor McDavid to the extent they can? Yeah. And Sid Crosby? Absolutely. But, then you have these Marchands or Marners or somebody else that come and like, oh my God, this guy just stepped it up and ended up with a hat trick. Like, you have to have that on a team so that you just can't rely on that one line or one player.
Right. It's like Dylan Larkin in the previous game.
Marner might be on fourth line, though.
Larkin's a great player. You forget about him. You know what I mean?
And all of a sudden he's just in this groove, and man, look out. He's the go-to guy.
Yeah. All these names you're mentioning, man, we've had them all on.
Yeah.
And it's always great conversation.
We love it.
Kovalev, man, he was interesting to talk to.
Totally.
But everyone's got an opinion on Mike Keenan, and I would say that we've had Keenan on a couple times, but the person who had the strongest opinions on him was probably Tony Amani, man, when he came on, and you guys traded him away the year you guys won the cup. What was your reaction when you guys made that trade? Like, was he a big part of the team at the time, and then seeing him, a few years later in international competitions and stuff like that, man, was it hard to see a guy like him not be a part of a championship team?
Yeah, Tony was just a great guy, and he was an amazing player. That freaking guy scored like 40 goals, right? I mean, he went on to have an amazing career. And
great career, yeah.
The problem is that, what you forget is, in order to trade to get somebody of value, you have to give up something of value. I mean, there's not too many GMs out there. You just pull the wool over and who's this, Amante kid I'm getting? I mean, you have to, they know, oh, really? You want Steph Matteau, you want Noonan? They're heavy players. I see you have a gap there, and you're making a run for it. They're going to extort you, They okay, Tony Amante. Well, you want him? Give me him. And so, we the trade deadline happened that year. We were in Calgary, and so there were murmurs that we were going to make some moves and whatnot. And Keenan was behind a lot of it. He liked a heavy team. He liked to lean on guys like a Mateau that he had used before, and knew that this guy wouldn't wilt under Keenan's system and his kind of withering attacks. And it really was what we needed. Like, you're building a team to be complete. And you think about that Jersey series. And by the way, the Vancouver series, Jersey was a heavy team, and freaking Vancouver was too. And if you don't have a strength and toughness on all four lines, you're not winning the series. And I thought Neil and Mike, had a lot of butting of heads, but they found ways of getting the right puzzle pieces in to make a kind of complete puzzle for us. But it just kills you to see guys like Tony going or Dougie Wait, and these are great players, enormous pieces of an organization that were drafted within the organization. But we think of the guys we acquired too. The Craig McTavishes of the world. Marchand was traded for him. Adam Graves, Kevin Lowe. You don't get those guys for free. So when you're making a run for it and you're starting to maybe balance getting rid of some of the future for the present, you better be damn sure you got a real team that can make that run.
Big face-off win by Mac T. Big face-off
God
win.
dang right, with no helmet on, baby. What's up? Crazy. Were you ever like, Mac T, put the damn helmet on? You're scaring everybody.
God. Look at that now. I'm like, oh my God. We were just talking about, can you imagine they used to play without that screen in the back? I mean, guys move the biscuit so hard now. But, you look at that last picture of this kind of this iconic picture of Mess jumping up in the air. But, Mess takes out Bure. Steve Larmer's pinning his guy against the boards. Mac T has won the face-off and is pinning his guy. Like, that's why you bring that guy in.
Yeah.
7th game of a Stanley Cup, one more crack at it for them to score, and you need a shutdown guy. And he did. He was like that the whole year.
Hey, playing for Keenan, and sometimes maybe like let in a bad goal right off the bat where you're like, oh boy, I'm getting pulled.
Yeah, for sure. And in some ways, it's actually really, it makes you value the present moment, as I was talking about before, with such intensity, right? Like, you're not given a game. Here's a shift. And if you play poorly, and Keenan would look down. 15's going, 14 isn't. Screw him. This guy's really bad. I'm getting rid of him. But he would press and press and press and see how you'd react. Can you handle that pressure? And he'd pull a nose hair every chance he gets. He'd insult you if he had to, but he wants to see your reaction and wants to see if you have staying power. Like, do you have what it takes to get through it all? Because, in order to win, a game like Thursday night, but particularly the Stanley Cup, where you have to go through that whole season, set yourself up. And then, that marathon really starts. That's when the games get heavy and the intensity's there and everything matters. And you either can handle that or not. Mike was always kind of pressure testing his guys and picking on people and seeing how they responded. I mean, he was all over Alex Kovalev, all over all the Russians that came in. Lychee, Mess got a pass.
Yeah.
He got the pass. He was all over Pronger here when he came here. Well, what was your reaction when Keenan left after you guys won the cup and comes to St. Louis, man? No, that was crazy.
Incredible thing. I mean, we were, there was, it was shown in the paper that there'd been some, I guess, conversations going on. You're in the middle of a elimination game in the semifinals, just like, I want to hear an explanation. I don't give a shit. We have a game to win right now, and so just like, let's not even talk about it. Give it any kind of oxygen. Prepare for tonight, play tonight, win, repeat tomorrow. That was the mentality of most of the guys. And so, it was becoming a distraction there, and the wheels looked like they were coming apart when we got behind in the count with Jersey. But, that's what a veteran team's able to do, is right the ship. And we did. And, it was just some of the times that the circumstances that you're playing against, it's not just the other team, it's how well you can keep that cohesion in your own locker room. We were able to do that.
Yeah, we brought a lot of drama here. Hey, what was the story with you living down in Manhattan? And, like, they didn't want you living down there, right? And it eventually led you going down to the minors for a few games and whatever. Like, break that down for us. Like, what happened with all that? Why didn't they want you to live in Manhattan?
Yeah, it wasn't specific to me. It was kind of, and at some point it was just all the players didn't want living down there. And so Phil Esposito was fired. Whole new regime came in, and Leachy took that opportunity kind of in between to slide in and live in the Upper West Side. He's like, well, I live in New York, why not? And so sort of the rule of thumb was, small town, what could go wrong? Let's stay. We used to practice in a place called Rye, New York. It's a beautiful suburb of Manhattan, but not the hustle and bustle of the big mean city. And so it's got its real positives, like you're 5 minutes from the rink, but it's also strictly a pain in the ass to get to the games, right? Yeah, now you're fighting the traffic to get in every day. And the beautiful thing is if you live in the city, it's down the block. I don't want to have to deal with anything. I just want to hop in a cab or the subway and get right to the arena. It's 2 miles from my house when we live there, my apartment. And then it's a reverse commute coming out. Everybody's coming into the city. You're going out in the morning, practice, come back by 3, you're fine. So it's actually, I found a better place to perform. What do you do when you're in a long playoff run? It's 2 months, 2.5 months. Like you do things like you're not going to go for a run. You're just trying to save your energy. You practice in the morning, you relax, you have a game the next day. You're just doing this day off, game, day off, game. In Manhattan, you can go out and watch a movie. There's IMAX theaters, there's Broadway. You can just kind of quietly go about your life and get your mind off of the pressure and then come to the rink ready to roll. Sometimes I think, in the suburbs, there's not much to do. Sure, you can put a movie on in your house, but this, you can get away there, and I found it to be a great place. After games, they're still serving dinner at 2 a.m. Like by the time you're done showering, talking to the press, therapy, whatever it is, you might not be out of the arena till midnight. If it goes into OT, I can go down and have a tremendous dinner, not order some piece of crap, before Uber Eats and everything else. So I just found it to be a better place. Anyway, yeah, there was a lot of pressure. Like, hey, we don't want you guys to get into a lot of trouble in a big city. And like, look, if you want to be an idiot, you can get into trouble anywhere, So yeah. I think the word was have some respect for us too, because we do respect the game, and we're going to pick our spots to go out, and the rest of the time we're going to be preparing. And Mess said it the same. He's like, look, man, I'm a whatever he was, 32-year-old man. I've been through it. I'm living in New York City. I'm going to live in New York City. I represent New York, and if we're so goofy that we can't handle it, then you get a bigger problem. And so I think that sort of changed the tone a little bit. The only thing that really changed the tone is winning. And then after we started winning, nobody cared. But I think it was more just like out of abundance of caution. Is my young draft pick going to come in at 18 and lose his mind in the city? There's some legit concerns, but I think we had enough veteran team to kind of write that.
Those 18-year-olds are going to be like, oh, I can't wait to live right by Central Park. Oh, it's $22,000 a month. Interesting. I can't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I need to renegotiate.
Yeah.
But how is Mess like Mark Messier, especially, after you win the cup, like he's on top of the world. Do you ever just like look at him and be like, hey, like what'd you do last night? Did you hang out with celebrities? Like, was he all over the place doing whatever he wanted? He seems just like he was King Dick.
It was such a big personality, and it just, the timing, to leave Edmonton after all those championships. And I think it was not an easy thing to do, but he just felt like he needed a new challenge. And New York was so ripe. We had been at that point 50 years without a championship, and that big city with his big personality. And he would get criticized when we missed the playoffs in '93. They were calling for his captaincy to be, he just laughed. He's like, are you kidding me? Like, we got work to do. We're going to do it. And, so Mark was incredibly interesting, but perfect personality to kind of walk into that big, enormous opportunity in the city and just take full advantage of everything from the best. Oh, you got to try this, this Indian food over here. This is a great thing. He just embraced it. He had such a kind of huge appetite and amazing personality for it. But the flip side of it was, I remember Dougie Waite going like, one day comes up to Dougie as a rookie. He's like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Going back home. He's like, hey, come on out, and he would take him out and show him a good time in town, sleep over at his place. His mom would make food the next day. Dougie's like, I got his hockey card. Like, he was just blown away by that level of friendship that Mark would show. So yeah, he could be out there, having dinner with Madonna or whatever, but he's also a friend that would just bring everybody into the fold and just go, hey, we're a team and nobody gets left out. He was supremely aware of those dynamics within the locker room. And, you know, Mess taught Zuby and Brian, myself, and Adam so much about what it means to be a teammate and what it means to be inclusive, and demand everything you can of your teammates. But, you know, you're going to go through good and bad with them, and they better respect you as a person. He was great at that.
Did you say Madonna or Madonna?
Or
If
Paris.
somebody did the Madonna when we were in Texas, you know it was Madonna.
What about I have to ask you, because the biggest, you know, rivalry in fighting NHL history was Domi, Bob Probert. I mean, like, just to be able to see that spectacle live, like, what? Tell us about that.
Ty is just still is an amazing guy. Same kind of big personality, you know, but like zero fear. And I think for someone that talks that much, if you didn't know him or weren't on the other end of one of his fights, you'd think he's all talk, you know. And Adam Grace grew up with him, played juniors, and just had so many, like, you know, guys like, who is this clown, you know? And Adam had so many good stories about him, but Ty would stick up for anybody, and he meant it. That guy loved to tussle. I've seen him get bonked square in the chin, in the head. The next day, it's not even red. Like, he didn't bruise. I don't know what his head is made out of, but it was not normal flesh and blood.
Concrete.
And so, yeah, it was just concrete. And you know, I'd play around with him after games and stuff like, or after practice, you know, and he'd get you and roll up the jersey. The kid was so strong on his feet, and you know, he would go in the weight room and outlift anybody, but try to out wrestle him on the ice, it ain't happening. He's just this little bowling ball, and yeah, he could take a punch, and he could certainly give them, and he knew what his role was, and I tell you, he was an effective player.
Listen, I've never asked anybody about this, but like the Dan Blackburn goalie, who was like the 10th overall pick, I think he was living with JD when he first came in. He was like 18 years of age coming into the NHL. Were you ever like, hey, listen, why are we bringing in an 18-year-old? Maybe he's not ready. And was it injury that got him out of the game so quickly? Like, do you think that hurt him by bringing him into the NHL at 18? You just don't really see that with goalies.
I don't know. You know, you have that kind of grace period after training camp. I can't remember how many games it is. Let's just say it's 10 games for a goalie or something like that. And he plays well in 1 and 2 and 3. Also, he's there a month, and this guy he's not just playing okay for an 18-year-old. He is winning games by himself.
Yeah.
You know, he's from Montreal. We had 2 games in Montreal where he probably had 35, 40 shots, and he shut out in one of them. He was a great goalie. He was a really, really mature athlete for an 18-year-old, but just right across the board, the guy was good enough to play in the league, and it's very rare. He hurt himself working out and kind of impinged the shoulder, and I don't think that was, you know, we rushed him along too quick or anything like that. We did have a great team, so it wasn't a great time for him to kind of learn the craft in a sink or swim way. I think you get it thrown in there, and if it's a game that's going poorly on a team that's on its heels, you're really exposed and kind of thrown to the wolves. And there's a couple of games where that happened, which is not great for your development, but you have to get through it, and he did. Supremely talented, great person. You know, really wanted to play, but just an injury really sadly sidelined what would have been an amazing career. He was one of the best 18-year-old goalies I have ever seen. And,
Wow.
you know, just smooth, calm as a cucumber. But played, you know, he's a good sized player, quick, read the play well, all the attributes you want. And I just, as a person who is a bright kid coming in like that, and still consider him a friend this day, but he was one of the best I've seen at that age.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think, you know, Marc-Andre Fleury came in at 18 maybe and just obviously ran with it. He's one of the best of his era, there's no doubt. Hey, how'd you break your skull? Like, how'd that
Was
happen?
it that shot?
Yeah, it was Chris Tamer, actually. It was crazy. It was after the Olympics, you come back and we're playing, and it was, I think, an afternoon game, and Chris came across like the red line onto the blue line and took a slap shot. He had a heavy shot, but it kind of got tipped and was doing like a screwball thing. You know, pucks can kind of have that weird trajectory. I'm short, and I was going to take it right in the chin, and I sort of jumped, but it went up high and then curveball down. And it was really operator error. I turned at the last minute, to kind of take it not in the beak, and it hit the side of my ear. Weirdest thing. I had a triangle. It's my ear hole, and the puck got a puck here. It's got corners, right? And it distended through that ear hole and nipped me right above my ear on my skull, and it hit hard. And I went down, kind of blacked out for a second, saw some stars, but then you get up and you're like, okay, I feel good. I felt really dizzy, more than usual. And I was like, whoa. And so I tried to move a little bit, and then blood was coming out. So they said, hey, you know what? It's the end of the period. Let's take you to the locker room and get you stitched. And so I went in there. The problem was the blood was above my ear, but it's also coming out of my eardrum. And so that was a little bit, I punctured my eardrum. It was very loud. It was like a big blow to the side of your head. So, okay, you got stitches, you got a punctured eardrum, but it was filling with blood on the inside, so your proprioception was a little off. If I sat there, I felt fine. But if I stood up, and particularly if I moved, it felt like I was on a ship a little bit.
Wow.
Like, all right, fine, stay out of this one. So I was out of that game. And I went home that night. It was an afternoon game, ate, had a headache, but I was on my pillow and you get a twitchy eye. I was getting a little twitch above my ear. I was like, I couldn't put my head on the pillow. It's like, God damn, I didn't even think I had a bruise there, but it was so tender. The next day it didn't go away. And we ended up getting a MRI. Didn't show anything. There's no brain bleed, but I did have a x-ray. And I thought it was just like kind of precautionary, and it was a pain in the ass. It was a snowy day, and to get downtown and wait and get out of practice and all the things you got to do. And the guy's like, well, one of your head hurts. You got a fractured skull. And, I'm like, that explains it. But the problem was, what is it? The carotid artery is right there. And if that skull gets hit again and becomes displaced at all, you'll be dead in 20 seconds, right? It's so they're like, all right, you're done. And so that's a 6-week bone healing. But that mess, what was probably the beginning of the end for me, really, because that was a pretty good blow to the gray matter. And I was a little dizzy because of the bleeding in the ear. I couldn't hear well out of it. That subsided. I worked out that summer. I felt crappy when I first started working out, but, getting your heart rate up. But I came into camp in good shape. I felt awesome in training camp and had a good camp. Had a good start to the season, and I played Edmonton Oilers in November 5th, and I was down on my hands and knees, kind of like made a save, and I went in the corner and wrapped around, and I was going one way, and Todd Marchand was coming the other, and just kneed me in the head. And it was from the kind of same side, or rotational brain injury, and that ended up being it. Like, I went down, and it took long enough where by Christmas they wouldn't let me come back that year. They said you need a year to, or the rest of the year to heal. And when I came back in May, they just said, I'm not going to clear you to play again. You got too many symptoms. So then you have a decision: do you overrule the doctor and take out your own insurance and all the kind of crap you have to do? And it's a brain injury. And they said, look, we don't know when you're going to heal. We think you will, because I felt hungover, kind of jet lagged all the time. Couldn't sleep during the night, couldn't stay awake during the day, a lot of headaches, just terrible. But and I'd never had that before. And who knows whether it's cumulative or just that was the right blow at the right time. But she said, you will get hit again. And we don't know what the repercussions were going to be, but subsequent injuries, hits are going to cause bigger and bigger damage each time. So you start to go, okay. I had little kids at the time. Decision time, and so that was awful. But when you're dealing with your own health, it focuses you pretty well.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, I mean, if I work out hard with weights, I still get a little bit of dizziness. It's I'm pretty much 100%, but there's every once in a while some lingering things. Plus, I'm 58. If I lose my car keys, I think that's just me. But stuff like that.
Would you have wanted to keep playing though? I mean,
God, yeah.
You were what, 35 at the time?
Yeah,
36. I felt like I kind of, you spend your whole life learning how to apply yourself. You're stronger at 20 than you are at 30, maybe. You're starting to go maybe physically a little bit less at mid 30s and into the 40s, but mentally you're so much stronger. You know yourself. You can handle adversity better than ever. You know what your game is. I love playing still. There's nothing like it. You're in the locker room, all the fun things you do every day, just going to practice. I like playing hockey, and I really miss not just the games, but even the practices, and nobody wants to lose. We didn't have a great team that year, but worse is not playing. And that you're lost after you're done there. It's hard. There's a giant void in your life, and understandable. I mean, that's what you apply yourself. You're selfish with your time and your focus, and um, nothing else is going to come walking into your life that suddenly supplants that. So I went back to school and then started, a series of jobs, ending up in this one, and that was good. I had young kids, so going back to school and having kids was filled my day in a different way, so that was good. But man, it's easy to be lost when you're done. So yeah, I think if you really started deteriorating in terms of level of competitiveness, then don't embarrass yourself, get out. But I still felt like I could play, and I had spent my whole life getting to that point. I didn't want to give it up.
You're probably like, wait, I just retired. I'm very smart. I'm making more money than I did when I played.
It hurts less, but you understand it too. Hockey is so great because if you're not playing well, 20,000 people will let you know when you made a mistake real quick. And so going into the working world's a little different. You have to kind of ask and seek out. Am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? I had 30 years of experience in my last job, and you're pretty good at what you do. And then to start from a bottom rung is a little sobering, man. But you don't know how young you are. 36 years old. I can remember Blackburn going like, now, did they wear masks when you started? I'm like,
oh, Jesus,
man. Holy smokes. I'm not Gun Borsley,
No, but you almost played in Nashville, which is so funny.
Yeah.
You almost and Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's so weird that they would pick you in an expansion draft, and then you would assign back with New York, who must have
I think
left
it's
you
just a way of
unprotected.
kind of
Right?
gaming the system there and
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
lose a low draft pick, but you don't have to go in the open market and all that. And Neil had called me and said, hey, so I'll let you know this is taking place. It'll be 24 hours. So I had buddies. Actually, I was friends with Joe Nowendike at the time, still am, but they got me a Richter jersey from, we was having a barbecue at our house. I'm wearing a Predators jersey. They did it up like, the whole press conference and all this funny stuff.
That's like Joe Sakic wearing a Rangers jersey.
Yeah, it's just weird
Oh
stuff.
my God.
Were you in that show that they did for him? Did they interview you for that?
No, and I still haven't seen it here. It's unbelievable, but I
It's
remember
okay. It was like I tried to get through the first 10 minutes. It was so boring the first few minutes.
Yeah.
I tried to I hear it's a great show, but it takes a while for it to get going, for the show to get going. But I hear it's really good.
I can tell you from being a Ranger, when you get those marquee players that I mentioned, we had Lindros, and of course when Mess came, it was like, God, for about a month, everybody in the organization is just pinching themselves. It's a Hall of Fame guy that just dropped into your locker room, and so I think you're still figuring out how to process that all, and everybody had to calm down and just play their game, and it all worked out. But same thing when Gretzky came, these are big names and they have a material, influence in who the team is, what the identity is, and how guys react.
It's the Big Apple. You know what I'm saying? That's where they belong in the big city.
Hey,
yeah, they do. It's so cool to see the top guys like that there.
Speaking of that, were you in New York during 9/11?
Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean,
Where were
crazy.
you at?
This is an amazing thing. So we have training camp, as most teams do, smaller venues so everybody can get together, and you might have 30 guys and 40 guys in camp, and you start paring it down. But it's a way to focus after the summer and all come together and working everything from your fitness to strategy. And that was the one year, the only year, I think, in the decades that New York had training camp in Manhattan. Like, we were in Vermont, we were all, Glens Falls, New York. You go to these kind of smaller towns and just sort of play golf, get together, eat as a team. This is okay. We're going to do this in New York. Great. And Mass Leachy and I were the last three to do our testing the morning of 9/11. We were scheduled to go in and, forgive me, but it's like 9 a.m. or something like that. And some of the young guys had to go in at 7, do the bike test, and then the next set of 5, and the next doctors, all that. You go through the whole routine. and the veterans got to sleep in the latest. So I was eating breakfast and I was going to hop a cab with Brian. And I tried to sleep as late as I could, just get a nice prep before the bike test and all this kind of stuff. And I remember by the time I had gotten up, the first plane had gone into the first tower, and I was on the phone with Leachy, and we were deciding, do you go down or whatever? And because it was a commuter plane, as far as what, no one knew what it was yet. It's just happened. And I took a bite of cereal, but I took my eyes off the TV, and the second plane had gone into the other twin tower. And I went, holy shit, we're at war. Like, that's not a coincidence. And the equipment manager up at Rye, New York, I couldn't get a hold of anybody because the cell coverage at the base of Madison Square Garden is very poor. So I'm like, is there kind of an emergency now? Because now there's sirens going and nobody knew how big this thing was yet. And I called up the equipment manager, great dude named Billy, and he was a former New York City cop, had retired. And he's like, where are you? I'm like, Upper West Side. Get the F out of there now. I'm like, Billy, I got my bike test. And he's like, you don't understand. We're under attack. Get out of there. Like, he had all the intel coming in, being a retired guy. I'm like, not making sense. You know, I barely got pants on now. And I'm trying to, like, what do you mean? He said, there's like 4 or 5 places that are the big targets. You know, MSG is one of them, Grand Central Station, Statue of Liberty. If you're anywhere near the, get out. And by now, all you hear are sirens, all the sirens from the Upper West Side, from the Lower East Side, everything's just converging on the tip of Manhattan. And you're just like, I can't just decide not to go to training camp, but how bad is this thing? Meanwhile, down in the base of the Madison Square Garden, our trainer, Jim Ramsey, the medical trainer, gets a call from St. Louis's trainer, Ray Borelli. They're buddies. I'm friends with Ray. And they're, I think, up in Alaska. Was that right?
Yeah, they were in Alaska
Yes.
for training
And
camp.
he had heard about it, and he was up, as trainers always are, and called Jim Ramsey and said, are you guys okay? Because now it's coming through. There's big things happening. Communications were kind of shut down on the island of Manhattan. Like, they hit some of the towers, and when that first one went down, you couldn't use your cell. So it was real spotty coverage. I'm watching CNN in Atlanta to find out what's going on 2 miles from my home. And he's like, are you okay? And Jim's on his phone, can't hear him because it's spotty coverage at the base of Manhattan at the time. And he's like, you're under attack. And guys are in the back yelling because go, 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 go on the bike. And Ray Borelli thinks, oh my God, they're under attack. Like, what's going on? And Jim can't hear him and gets off the phone. He's like, what the hell is he talking about? Then, poof, everybody out of there. And that was sobering. My wife was pregnant at the time with her second child. So I'm like, all right, now you start smelling that acrid smoke coming up. And you were seeing people. All you heard was just hustle and bustle of the sirens going down. And then it was just silence. Silence. There's not a, it was one of those bluebird days, not a cloud in the sky. No jets are going over. The hum of New York City is done. It's just time stop. And there's people walking up the West Side Highway. It's their stocking feet covered like gray with all the dust. And it's just like this eeriness came over the city. So I went downstairs. I was going to get my car out of the parking lot, like just take my wife, who's pregnant, up to Westchester. We had a house near the practice rink. And I got in a conversation with a cop, and he goes, where you going? I said, oh, I'm just getting out of here. He's like, no, nobody's allowed off the island. I go, no, I'm not, I'm going out. He's like, nobody's allowed to come on or off. We don't know whether the terrorists are still here. We don't know whether there was bio weapons. Nothing's moving. That's when it got scary. You know, there's just a couple Air Force planes going around in circles above Manhattan, no other noise. And now the cop says you can't get off the island because we don't know what's on or off. And you're just like, oh. Wow. Then it started getting kind of real. And yeah, well, you know the rest of the story, but it was just the irony of New York Rangers being in town that I think it was like one time in 30 years or something like that.
You should have got that bike test done. I can't believe that you didn't do
I know.
that.
Yeah, I got out of it.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez Louise,
Hey,
that's crazy.
A couple more things. We're gonna
Yeah,
let
man,
you
you've
go,
been
man.
awesome, by the way.
You've been amazing.
Jeez Louise.
Were you really looking to run for Congress? Is that true? Like you wanted to go into politics? Is that something you would still do? Are you still affiliated with the Democratic
it's so
Party?
crazy now,
How do you?
right? I mean, it's so
Yeah.
crazy now, and I don't think it's a particularly good life. But look, man, my father was 19-year-old captain in Burma in World War II. Like he was in the middle of college. World War II was coming. He signed up and he went. And you're kind of scratching your head after you're done, going, what am I doing to help anybody? And MSG's got incredible ability to help you with charities, or you put you in a position to help. But maybe public service is not a bad thing, and if you can kind of trade on your name, or at least some whatever the Q rating is in New York, and do some good, great. And so I thought about that. My wife, I think, was not kidding when she said she would murder me. She's like, "Look, man, you've been away for a decade." Like, no, not now's not the time. Some other time. So, if it materializes, maybe. I really don't know. I don't know if there's. I don't even know how much change you can affect, no matter what. Like, it's gotten to be a little bit of an odd soup there. But
Yeah.
it was that was the motivation. Is like, what can I do? Do I have any skill set? Can I help?
I want to be your campaign manager.
Yeah,
Mike.
I'm gonna vote for you no matter what.
Vote for Mike.
Hey, is your house?
I don't know why. Just vote for him.
Exactly. A lot of people do that anyway. But so is your house? Like, do you drive electric? Everything is your house all decked out in solar
panels.
Great question. Yeah, it's all BS, right? You guys should do this stuff. It doesn't work. I'm going to stay conventional.
Right.
No, actually, it's funny. My house is in Connecticut. It's 100 years old, so it's a tour envelope and all that kind of stuff. But I did this summer. I converted to geothermal, so I definitely put my money where my mouth is. It was messy. It was loud. My neighbors were like, "What in the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
And now, then they did 4 holes in my driveway, and then they got out and paved it over. And man, it's quiet. It's great. Like, I am living the very thing I sell, and it is phenomenal. Thankfully, I had an engineer that kind of helped me here. But again, we don't do residential, so I had to hire somebody, and I learned a lot, because you're kind of both sides of the trade now. I was the recipient, I was the client, and but I drive an electric car, and I think one of the things that's kind of cool. And I think this is a really important distinction. It's not like, all right, look, we want to save the spotted owl, sustainability. Nobody knows what it even means, but we're just talking about better. Like, if you can make a pickup truck that hauls more, a car that's faster. I mean, the first Teslas came out and people were like, "Oh, it's an electric car," and it can beat a Ferrari off of the starting line. Like, you're starting to. It's quiet. It's got a low center of gravity. There's pluses and minuses, right? People have range anxiety, and not only see it come out at 400 miles. Like, it's starting to get like a game-changing, better experience. They drive so well, like the pickup and their regenerative braking and all the things that it offers. So I think what we got to kind of do, just technology's forte of America, right? Like, you just keep moving it forward. And if an electric car is better, or a freaking nuclear car comes out in the future that's better and safer, great.
Hey.
But the inertia that we have is we just keep doing the same old thing. And I think it's time to start graduating to better technology, and things like geothermal have been going on in Europe for 3 decades. Every time I see Hank, I'm like, you guys are like the world leader in geothermal. Like, introduce me as somebody who's Swedish. But we actually are using a lot of the Swedish technology, and you see what Musk did with electric cars, and then Ford comes with the pickup that you can actually use as we lose power all the time up in Connecticut. Like, that's such a novel idea. You can use your damn pickup truck as a basic giant battery. So I think we're going to keep leapfrogging this technology, and that's the goal, is just to, not put in something that's green, but put something that's better, whether it's your house or your car.
You got to two more things for it. I mean, you got to use that Yale education, or is it the Wisconsin education? It's one or the
Could
other.
have been Harvard.
What does it mean to have an award named after you, though? Right, the Mike Richter Award. That's got to be kind of cool.
Flattering, when they ask me, I'm like, I'm still alive, right? Don't you usually do that after somebody dies? But and there's been so many great goalies, but I think they're looking for an American and somebody had gone through and had some kind of academic record too, and all of this. So it's just, you think of the Curtis Josephs and the Ryan Millers and Hellebuck. I mean, he was a recipient of the award, but there's just been so many good ones that have come through, and yeah, it's pretty humbling and flattering and awesome, because it does keep you around the game. Like, the cool thing is, I really like the college game. It's awesome. I watch my kids play all the time, whether it's the ECAC or West where I was. I don't get to vote on the goalie, but then they send you like, here's the finalists, and then you can start kind of researching who they are and watching them. And the game's good, man. It's fast. It is a fast, high caliber game. So I love hanging around it, and that is it keeps me involved in it, which I love.
Yeah. Were you in New York with Fleury? Was Theo Fleury with you?
Yeah, great
Yeah,
guy, crazy man. But oh my God, you talk about skill. This dude is 155 pounds, and he did not take a shortcut in any game he played that I saw. I played against him in the minors in Salt Lake City once, and I played. Tony Granato was on my team. He was my roommate in college. Tony, pound for pound, is one tough monkey. Theo Fleury came out of this little, people were talking about him because it looked like he was going to go to the pros quickly, and great shot. I think he had no breaks. He would just go and head first into whatever. He might get smoked. He'd get right up and come right at you. I mean, he had just total courage and the skill to match, and great work ethic. He was an exceptional player.
Yeah.
We had him on.
He had fun.
He's been through a lot,
He
too,
had fun
man.
in New York. Were you ever like, where's Theo?
Yeah, well, Seal, he was partying at the time, too, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
he's
he's
open about it, man. He talked all about it.
We had
you
him
know?
on.
He's amazing. He really is, and he has a hell of a story and tries to help other people with it. You know, I mean,
he does.
hey man, we all got some kind of story, and nobody's perfect, and he's doing a lot of really good with it, and he's come out the other side. So, man, more power to you, bud.
All right, one more thing. Actually, two more. But I want
Come
to
on,
let you
but
go.
poor
But I
guy,
don't want
he's
the
big.
Ranger fans getting mad at
He's
me.
saving the planet.
When's the first time you saw Henrik Lundqvist? Like, you guys have a good relationship, man. And what was it like watching him kind of pass some of your records and some of that stuff?
I think the thing that really gets me about Hank is he's consistent. Like, he came with an effort every night, and it showed in his play. Like, he didn't have that many clunkers. He didn't win every game, of course, but every game was a battle. Every practice was a moment to get better. And whether it's a goalie or a forward or a defenseman, when you can bring guys like that into your locker room, it changes your organization, because now there's a standard by which everybody needs to kind of, I think, abide by, because otherwise you look a little bit silly when this guy's out there, almost twice your age, working his tail off and getting better, and you're some 19-year-old that's like, I got it. So I think, he obviously helped between the pipes, but he was amazing ambassador for the game now. But I think like a Mess and a Leachy that has such a high expectation of himself, it teaches other guys to have the same thing. But I love his work ethic. It's funny because he's a great goalie. He's got great skill. He's a good looking guy. He dresses nice, but he had a real blue collar work ethic. He went out there, and it was a perfect marriage with him and Benoit Lair, just tremendous goalie coach. So it was like, how do we get better? And Benoit unlocked a lot of great players, and Henrik was a guy who came with a ton of talent, but a ton of work ethic. And it just was a really potent combo.
Yeah, you look at the stands, you're like, a lot more women are in MSG these days.
Yeah. I know.
was
I'm always
for
like,
you,
we're
Richie.
doing a charity event. I'll be calling Adam like, God, Hank's coming. What do I do? I need a
How do I
full
dress?
makeup.
Hey, the ESPN, they ask you to be an analyst on their
Yeah, can you please be?
on their Four Nations coverage. I mean, I love Messier and everything, but we need some Americans on there.
Can you go?
We need some
talk?
American representation on ESPN.
Help us out here.
You know what? That game's so good. Just turn those guys off and let the game go. Honest to God, it is so much fun watching that. When I saw that 3-on-3, they have 3-on-3 for 10 minutes. Now I don't know what they're going to do in the championship game. They'll probably just have a real
Hopefully.
final
I
five.
don't know.
I don't know.
Are you
No
kidding
one
me?
knows
A
anything.
3-on-3 game with that, and it meant something.
Could you
Those guys
imagine?
killing themselves. So cool.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, man.
I know.
But you've been great. Thank
Yeah.
you, man. We were very curious. We want to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
You're a very interesting guy, and you look great, by the way. Your
Right.
hair looks great.
Thank
You
you.
look damn
Tell
good.
Hank, would you? And
Hank's a second.
by
Hey,
the
Well,
way,
you don't look that good.
I agree. Have me on in a month or so. I'll change everything I told you this time. It'll be a totally new show.
That's fine.
Welcome to my world.
We'll have you come on after the championship
shit.
game, man. I wish we were doing it after, but it's all good.
I'll
See you,
own
Mike.
that prediction.
Yeah.
See you, Mike.
All right,
Enjoy
guys.
yourself, bud.
Appreciate
See you
it.
later, dude.
The Chemistry Podcast is brought to you by Bellman. BEHLMANN. Bellman Automotive. Located where?
Troy.
Troy, Missouri. Buick GMC on one side of the street, right on the other side, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Get yourself some new wheels in time for the winter. All right, that was Mike Richter,
He was cooler than I thought.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, he got hurt,
Over
man.
300 wins.
Yeah. Did we ask him about that?
I didn't.
I was gonna say, like, but he's a listen, when you're a Rangers Hall of Famer,
Very smart.
listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. We love the Blues. We work for the Blues. It is what it is. I'm from St. Louis. Andy's from St. Louis. Like, for me, this was the coolest thing. But if I'm a kid and I have to rank the teams that I want, if I'm a superstar at 18, handsome with long fucking cool fucking hair, cut up, doing my thing, knowing that I'm going to market myself and I'm a badass hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to rank the teams that draft me number one overall, I think fucking New York would be number one.
Where would Toronto be?
It'd be up there.
Me too. It'd be my top five.
It'd be up there. I don't know about that.
Really?
I would go. What would you go? Well, because we have to put.
I know.
St. Louis. We
If
just put them aside.
if you're talking about where can you get the most attention,
just
marketability,
no, it's a little bit of everything.
lifestyle,
Florida would be up there.
Colorado would be up there.
I would, Andy. I would too, because I like to live in Colorado.
I'd like to live in Colorado. You're not on the West Coast,
No,
but you're close enough, and you're not too far from the Midwest.
you
where
have
the East
money-
Coast trips aren't that far.
Andy, if you had money,
Mhm.
you're in Colorado, you establish yourself
Oh,
there.
dude.
I'd have a goddamn fucking ski
Yeah.
out some bitch right
And
there.
a-
All my friends are
and
coming.
a wine
Get
cellar.
out of yes. Looking at the mountains, coming out, having your coffee. Look, you're
Oh, yeah.
damn fucking right.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what I think about.
Yeah.
Florida too. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a shit kicking house.
Would you
on the
rather
ocean.
live in Tampa or Miami?
Miami?
Okay.
Yeah, but I like Tampa too. There's some places, man. Like I would look
Nashville?
Nashville. You're damn right. I live in a rolling hills, looking over shit, playing in that little.
You want to
cute
live in
town.
New York?
If I'm a young kid superstar, you're
Mhm.
damn right.
Okay.
With my face on the Empire State Building, and I'm fucking cruising around. There's models everywhere. I'm going to cool restaurants, hanging out with celebrities, and playing in MSG where people are fucking chanting your name. Yeah, goddamn right.
Mike Richter's jersey is hanging from the rafters.
Mm-hmm. That's what I want too.
Very smart.
What?
He is.
Oh my god. We've had some smart cats on this.
He is so. Listen, I like these guys, man, who have great careers. He could have just went away in the sunset. He
He's
could have.
cool.
He could have gone and worked for the Rangers. Could have stayed in hockey. Could have gone into broadcasting. Could have done so many different things.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm going to use my knowledge. I'm going to go back to Yale University, get educated, and I'm going to start a company,
Pretty cool.
a solar company,
Mm-hmm.
a energy company.
Yep.
Very
I
smart.
should have asked him if he liked Elon. He brought Elon up. I should have asked him if he liked Elon, what he thought of Elon. But I didn't want to. Andy actually, before the podcast, he goes, because we knew he was political and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but I don't know about
I
his
didn't
political.
I didn't sense
alliances.
anything with him.
No.
He was just. I think it was more of he wants better energy.
Yeah.
And I agree with that
I just
1,000%.
think-
And he kind of just like, how can we clean up and make it more efficient?
Yeah.
He did it to his house. We talked about that with all these different things. Now it costs a lot of money. And I did ask him, hey, do you drive a soul? He goes, I started doing
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
Because you have to have money to do that.
He drives an electric car.
Electric car, and what he did to his house where he fucking had to dig up all that concrete, which
Yeah.
costs so much money. He put those fucking big panels
He owns
down.
the company.
But if you're a normal person, like
Yeah.
you'd have to have a
it
lot of
costs
money to do that.
No
You know
question.
what I mean?
He lives in like a 100-year-old house or whatever.
In Connecticut,
Oh,
I
it's
bet it's
probably
beautiful. Probably looking,
on the water.
yes, looking over a cliffside.
It's probably
something like,
amazing.
God, Andy, did he make
But
that
you
much
know-
money during?
I'm sure he did okay.
During
He played into the 2000s, and
yeah,
he
I
was
was
a
going to say,
star
did
player.
he sign a big contract? Is my
We'll
point.
have to look that up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he did okay.
20.
I'm sure he did okay.
Okay,
We'll
I'm just
Yeah,
asking,
we'll double
you know.
check that.
I want to know. Curious.
But yeah, he did have political aspirations at one time, and he was considered a Democrat. But a lot of people who were considered a Democrat several years ago, you can't look at that sometimes as the
completely
same. I
different.
think the Democratic Party has changed quite
Of
a
course
bit.
it has. Yep.
There's been a lot of other things, a lot of other issues, a lot of other topics, dynamics that have come into play that are associated with the Democratic Party that weren't part of the Democratic Party
know.
several years ago.
Well, that's why Elon, Trump, all these big dogs too were Democrats.
They were all Democrats.
So
So
actually, Elon
so
voted
I-
for Joe Biden.
I say the hell with political parties anyway.
I agree. Who's
mean,
the best candidate?
Like you know, exactly. And that's how, that's how I vote.
Well, there's so many.
It is. I vote.
You voted for Biden. Talking about.
I didn't.
You voted for Biden last time. You voted for Trump in 2000. You voted for Hillary Clinton.
No, I didn't.
And then you voted for Biden.
I don't know if I voted last time.
Oh, okay. Well, then
who'd you vote for? I didn't vote for Biden. Ever.
So who's you? So you didn't vote for Biden when Trump and Biden were going at it? You voted for Trump then?
I don't think I voted 2 terms ago.
Okay, then you didn't vote. Then don't brag about voting if you didn't vote.
I voted this time, though. I voted this time.
Okay. Just saying.
That's kind of a personal question.
That was an easy one.
It's kind of a personal question.
You know. Well, you were the one that brought it up and said, I vote for the... Like, you voted one time. It's all good, baby.
I voted for Ross Perot years ago. I think he made over $40 million. Like 40. Yeah.
You know. So he made 40... Oh, he made 40 schmillion. Dang, boy. Okay.
Almost 45 million.
Yeah, he made a ton of money. Okay.
And
rightfully so.
And he
he's probably has side jobs.
Star in New York City, dude.
There it is. And he probably has side jobs. He probably connected with so many important wealthy people. He didn't care about celebrities.
No.
He probably went to different conventions and talked to all these smart, wealthy people and probably got invested in different things. I bet you if you look at his portfolio.
Great player, great interview.
Andy, if you look at his portfolio, I bet you, it's not only from this point. I bet you fucking he's involved in so many different things where he's just making all this fucking money.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I would pick New York. Like if I'm a young kid, like there's a lot there. So, hey, you're going to have to deal with a lot of shit, but whatever you want, have a skyrise looking shit over.
Hey, as somebody once told me, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
You're damn right.
And so always know that. You can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
100%.
We thank you, Mike Richter, for joining us, man. It was a fun interview. I think he enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I think he did too. He was laughing.
Firstform.com/. He sent me a nice text. Firstform.com/Cam and Strick. Use our link.
Saved my life.
Only
with
our
that
link.
Sickness.
Yes, he did. Firstform.com/Cam and Strick. Do it today. Illinois Recovery Center, man. If you are dealing with something, get out there and turn your life around, man. It's never too late.
They'll help you. You got to do it for yourself, though.
Never too late. Hat launch and hatlaunch.com. Put your name on a hat. Tell the world who you are.
Every hat tells a story, Andy.
Every hat has a story.
For
Illinois
me,
Recovery
If it wasn't
Center.
for me, Andy'd be still wearing a mask from the pandemic. So you know.
That's not true. Hatlaunch.com.
Sheep.
Check out their website today. Blue Note Roofing, man. David Novak, 314-920-5713. Call him today. Blue Note Roofing. The one and the best. The one and the only.
Well, he's going to be really busy coming up here.
Yeah. When is that?
I told you about a week. I bet you we're going to see some storms coming up in like a week and a half.
That soon?
Yeah.
Really?
I think it's maybe 2 weeks. I think it's going to get a little bit cold, and it's going to come back 2 or 3 weeks.
Can we get Cam a green screen? He can just tell us everything that's
Have
going
I been
on.
wrong?
Oh, yeah. Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Cam at Bellman, you get now.
Swing Dicks. Told you that a million times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your wife goes
But
there,
you do get flavored water and
me,
sushi, which is the
Funny.
combination to never get sick.
I don't know about that.
Well,
Sushi from, oh, God. I've had some. Ooh.
When
You
I
get
drive,
bad sushi,
when I
you're
drive out to
donezo.
Pacific Ice Rink all the time, coming to an end. It's been a great experience driving out there, but there's a food truck, a sushi truck I see that I drive all the
In
time.
Pacific?
Never see anybody there. But I'm tempted to stop there one of these days.
Yeah.
It's tempting.
That's a tough. You're rolling the dice. You know?
Buick GMC on one side of the street, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, all located where?
Troy, Missouri. Beautiful Troy, Missouri.
Say to Danny boy.
Danny, Dale,
Kenny.
Go on now. We love you guys, man. What's up?
Hey man.
True float right
River
there.
Season True Float, TRU Float. Good Alberta boys. Get your Cam and Strick coolers today or order one for your own company.
Heated chair.
Get a heated chair. All right, Mike Richter, man, we thank him for joining us. Very, very smart. Cam, go get some help, dude.
I'm getting.
No,
I'm
you
gonna
need
go.
some
I'm gonna
sleep.
go. I'm gonna go back and chill.
Yeah, go take a nap, okay?
I know.
He's very grumpy. I apologize for his grumpiness today.
I know.
By the way,
I get
so-
grumpy sometimes.
Yeah, he gets grumpy.
Well, I just, you
Yeah.
don't sleep and you're working.
know.
You're like, holy shit.
Okay, Cam's working. Okay, he's he's tired. He's tired. Let's let Cam take a nap. All right. Have
I
a
know.
great day,
See you guys.
everybody.
Tune into this. Turn on the cam, I in the fizz. Turn on the switch, listen to Strick, yeah. No, if we swinging, it's never a miss. Don't follow a script, yeah. Topics change quick. Looking for facts, looking for tips. One's an enforcer, one's a reporter. Together we Cam and Strick, yeah. One's an enforcer, one's a reporter, yeah. You tuning in to chemistry.